Chapter 13:13. The Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension was big and small. It controlled hundreds of continents. Only geniuses from these hundreds of continents were qualified to become a disciple of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. Almost every disciple of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension was a genius from each continent. There were hundreds of thousands of disciples in the entire Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. With hundreds of thousands of disciples in the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension, only one half-step to heavenly human would appear every few hundred years. For example, the most outstanding disciple in the current batch of disciples was the Holy Dragon Sect's eldest senior brother, Yunzun. Is there a place for our Holy Dragon Sect's experts to attain enlightenment here? Chu Fengmian suddenly asked curiously. It suddenly occurred to him that all the Holy Dragon Sect's disciples' enlightenment grounds were on the Holy Dragon Peak. Along the way, Chu Fengmian saw the other 3 sects and 8 halls' enlightenment grounds. However, none of them belonged to the Holy Dragon Sect's experts. No. Although our Holy Dragon Sect is a part of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension, it is in fact beyond the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. Luokan looked at Chu Fengmian and said, "Beyond the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension?" Chu Fengmian was slightly stunned when he heard this. That's right. This is actually related to the history of the Holy Dragon Sect. However, for now, although our Holy Dragon Sect is part of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension, we do not occupy the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension's resources. Disciples of the other 3 sects can obtain large amounts of contribution points every year. However, our Holy Dragon Sect has to fight for our own resources. Luokan explained. In fact, many of our Holy Dragon Sect's experts did not die. They left the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension later on. Left the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension? That's possible? Chu Fengmian was even more shocked when he heard this. In such a sect, the biggest taboo was for the sect's disciples to leave. After all, the sect had spent resources to nurture these disciples. Once they left, it would be like they had made a wedding dress for someone else. The other 3 sects and 8 halls cannot do so. However, only our Holy Dragon Sect can. After all, we do not occupy the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension's resources. We can leave any time we want. Luokan said without any reservations. Actually, eldest senior brother has not returned to the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm for a very long time. Even if he were to return, he would only care about the Holy Dragon Sect's matters, and not the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm's matters. Of course. According to the rumors, the few supreme giants of this era were once from our Holy Dragon Sect. It's just that we didn't have the chance to meet them. Upon hearing Luokang's words, Chu Fengmian suddenly felt that the relationship between the Holy Dragon Sect and the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension was not that simple. However, this was not something that Chu Fengmian needed to worry about at the moment. With his current strength, he was still far from being able to establish his own sect. Only when Chu Fengmian stepped into the Sky Human stage in the future would he consider leaving the Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane. Let's go. We should be reaching the Primogenitor statue soon. Luokan led Chu Fengmian all the way to the end of the palace. There was an incomparably huge stone tablet at the end. There was nothing written on the tablet except for the 2 words Sacred Dragon. The 2 words Sacred Dragon were engraved on the stone tablet. It was as if 2 dragon emperors would break through the sky at any time. Anyone who saw it would feel a chill down their spine. Chu Fengmian took a glance at it and felt a dragon's roar resounding in his mind. According to the legends, the 2 words Sacred Dragon were personally written by the founder of our Holy Dragon Mystery Plane. You can't look at it too often. Once you do, you might faint. Luokan said. There's also a rumor in the Holy Dragon Mystery Plane. The 2 words Sacred Dragon on the stone tablet contain a supreme secret technique. However, no one has discovered it since the establishment of the Holy Dragon Mystery Plane. Is that so? Chu Fengmian became even more curious after hearing Luokang's words. He looked at the 2 words Sacred Dragon on the stone tablet again. This time, Chu Fengmian quietly activated the power of the Battle Dragon art. Immediately, a scene of a group of dragons roaring appeared in Chu Fengmian's mind. The roars were strong enough to make an ordinary sovereign realm master faint. However, Chu Fengmian endured it and carefully observed the scene. Gradually, Chu Fengmian could see the scene before him clearly amidst the roars of the dragons. Dragons! A group of dragons was flying in the sky. These dragons were not the current generation's true dragons, Jianwang and the others. They were ancient battle dragons. All of them were ancient battle dragons. There were even many ancient dragon kings and dragon emperors among them. At the center of the group of dragons was an incomparably huge existence. This existence was enough to be called a colossus in the galaxy. The enormous dragon tribe was 30,000 miles long. It emitted an ancient majestic aura, as if it was the ruler of this world. Ancestor Tianwang! Chu Fengmian exclaimed. Only the ancestor of all dragons, Tianwang, could emit such a majestic aura. This scene. This is the country of 10,000 dragons. It was recorded in history that the dragon tribe had established a huge country called the country of 10,000 dragons at its peak. In that era, the country of 10,000 dragons was known as an invincible existence. All the tribes in the world were slaves of the dragon tribe in the country of 10,000 dragons. They occupied the endless starry sky. However, after the fall of ancestor Tianwang, the country of 10,000 dragons was destroyed. The scene that Chu Fengmian saw now was definitely the scene of the country of 10,000 dragons. Roar! Just as Chu Fengmian was planning to continue watching, the ancestral heavenly dragon suddenly roared, causing Chu Fengmian to feel a wave of dizziness. Chu Fengmian hurriedly closed his eyes, dispelling the scene in front of him. Did you see anything? Luo Kang, who was beside Chu Fengmian, asked curiously. Most of the disciples who came to comprehend the statue would also take a look at the stone tablet in front of them. Of course, most of them came up empty-handed. Dragon roar, roar of 10,000 dragons. Chu Fengmian looked at Luo Kang and slowly opened his mouth. He was still recalling the scene just now. The country of 10,000 dragons. This was the first time Chu Fengmian saw the scene of the country of 10,000 dragons. It was even more glorious and terrifying than what was recorded in the ancient books. The stone tablet recorded the scene of the country of 10,000 dragons? There must be something hidden in it. However, Chu Fengmian's strength was not enough to withstand the impact of his consciousness. He could not continue watching. Roar of 10,000 dragons? Senior brother, you indeed have the bloodline of ancestor Tianwang. It's not easy to see this scene. Luo Kang exclaimed after hearing Chu Fengmian's words. In the history of the Holy Dragon secret domain, less than 100 people were able to see this scene. Chapter 13-14. There's still a long way to go before I can truly comprehend it. Chu Fengmian only smiled at Luo Kang's words. There was no point in looking at this scene. That's true. However, it's already very good that senior brother can comprehend it to this extent. You should know that many heavenly beings have tried to comprehend it but failed. Luo Kang said. Senior brother, you should go and comprehend the primogenitor statue. It's not that difficult to comprehend. Many disciples of the Thousand Dragon Hall have benefited greatly from it. What about you? There was a teleportation array in front of Chu Fengmian. He could enter it and comprehend the primogenitor statue. I'm going to comprehend the Tao in another place. I won't be following senior brother. Luo Kang pointed at the teleportation array beside him and said. All right. Chu Fengmian nodded. The more he knew about the sacred dragon's secret realm, the more curious he was. There must be many shocking secrets hidden in the sacred dragon's secret realm. Luo Kang waved his hand and left. Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang parted ways and walked towards the teleportation array. The moment he stepped into it, the world around him started to spin. When he opened his eyes again, the scenery around him was completely different. He had arrived in a small world. There was a valley in this small world. The stone dragon statue was located in the valley. An old man was sitting at the entrance of the valley. He seemed to be in a deep sleep. However, Chu Fengmian could tell that the old man was definitely an Emperor Gu. He was even more powerful than the Emperor Gu from Songzhou Emperor Gu. Oh? Someone's here to comprehend the primogenitor statue? The old man slowly woke up when Chu Fengmian walked over. He glanced at Chu Fengmian and noticed the jade talisman on Chu Fengmian's chest. His eyes were slightly awakened. Disciple of the Sacred Dragon Sect? You must be a newcomer this year. 100,000 contribution points for 1 day. How long do you need to comprehend it? 100,000 contribution points for 1 day? Even though Chu Fengmian knew that the primogenitor statue was expensive, he didn't expect that 100,000 contribution points would only be enough for 1 day. Now, Chu Fengmian only had 5 million contribution points, including the 200,000 contribution points he won from Zhuang Yan. This amount of contribution points was enough to match the entire savings of a true disciple. This also meant that he was qualified to meditate for half a month. Expensive, too expensive. Chu Fengmian could not help but think to himself. No wonder it was said that it was difficult to progress in the Sacred Dragon Mystery realm without contribution points. Contribution points were simply too cheap. However, the primogenitor statue was extremely attractive to Chu Fengmian. No matter how expensive it was, Chu Fengmian had to go. A total of 14 days. Here is a primogenitor statue meditation token and 1,300,000 contribution points. Chu Fengmian clenched his teeth and took out the primogenitor statue comprehension medallion and 1,300,000 contribution points. He only had 200,000 contribution points left for emergencies. A newbie actually has so many contribution points? The elder glanced at Chu Fengmian and handed over a jade token with a smile. Go! After 14 days, the jade token's effect will disappear and you will be automatically sent out. Thank you, elder. Chu Fengmian took the jade token and said. He then walked towards the valley. The elder was still half lying on the chair, as if he had fallen asleep again. He didn't care about what was going on. Chu Fengmian held the jade token and slowly walked into the valley. The valley seemed to be shrouded in a huge spirit design. Without the jade talisman, even the ancient emperor would not be able to barge in. He would be bounced back by the spirit design. Chu Fengmian held the jade token in his hand. Along the way, no one stopped him as he slowly walked into the valley. In the deepest part of the valley, a 1,000-mile stone dragon statue lay quietly. Although it was just a stone statue, the moment Chu Fengmian saw it, he felt as if the real primogenitor Jianwang was standing in front of him. The stone statue was so lifelike that every detail was exactly the same as the real primogenitor Jianwang. Chu Fengmian didn't notice this at first, but when he saw the scene of the country of 10,000 dragons on the stone tablet outside, he also saw the real primogenitor Jianwang. Only then did Chu Fengmian notice that this 1,000-mile-long stone dragon statue was simply identical to the real ancestral heavenly dragon. There wasn't the slightest difference. The entire 1,000-mile stone dragon statue contained a terrifying dragon aura, emitting a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate. In front of this terrifying dragon aura, Chu Fengmian's battle dragon bloodline boiled, almost turning him into a dragon. This is the real primogenitor Jianwang. The stone dragon statue in front of him looked almost identical to the real primogenitor Jianwang. Although Chu Fengmian had seen the real ancestral sky dragon in his mind before, it had only been a fleeting moment. Now, the stone dragon statue was lying quietly in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian could vaguely see the moment when the primogenitor Jianwang dominated the horizon. The primogenitor Jianwang could easily tear a continent apart. Chu Fengmian even saw the primogenitor Jianwang crush a plane with a single move. Continents were just toys in front of him. This is the ancestor of all dragons, the foundation of the dragon race. When Chu Fengmian saw the image of the ancestral celestial dragon, he realized that in front of the ancestral celestial dragon, no one from the dragon tribe was worthy of the word dragon. The ancestral celestial dragon was unique. Chu Fengmian had once comprehended a few of the primogenitor Tianlong's moves through his bloodline. However, when he saw the primogenitor Jianwang execute them personally, Chu Fengmian realized that his moves were full of flaws and couldn't withstand a single blow. Even the Battle Dragon Claw, which Chu Fengmian used the most, couldn't compare to a billionth of the might of the primogenitor Jianwang. It wasn't just in terms of power, but also in terms of technique. So that's how it is. Chu Fengmian repeatedly comprehended the image of the primogenitor Jianwang in his mind. As he watched each move repeatedly, his mind became enlightened. Battle Dragon Claw, go! Rumble! The Battle Dragon Claw condensed above Chu Fengmian's head once again and struck forward. This time, the Battle Dragon Claw was completely different from before. Although it was the same move, its form and charm were completely different. This was the true martial technique of the dragon race. Chu Fengmian's previous moves were simply reckless. Chapter 13-15. After all, Chu Fengmian was not a member of the Dragon Clan. Without the guidance of an expert from the Dragon Clan, his Dragon Clan martial skills were entirely based on his own exploration. Although there were no problems when Chu Fengmian used them normally, the Dragon Clan martial skills that Chu Fengmian used would appear incomparably crude in comparison. However, the primogenitor statue was the best teacher for Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian only needed to comprehend it over and over again, and it would be enough for Chu Fengmian to have an epiphany and find the flaws. 30%. The power of the Battle Dragon Claw has increased by 30%. Although Chu Fengmian had only comprehended it for a short while, the power of the Battle Dragon Claw had increased by 30%. Of course, this was also because the Battle Dragon Claw that Chu Fengmian had used previously was too crude, and there was still a lot of room for improvement. Coming to the Sacred Dragon's secret domain is definitely a heaven-sent opportunity. If I can take this stone dragon statue away and comprehend it at any time, it will be a real opportunity. Chu Fengmian's gaze fell on the stone dragon statue. This stone dragon statue was definitely a priceless treasure for Chu Fengmian. No, it should be said that this stone dragon statue was a priceless treasure for all members of the Dragon Clan. This stone dragon statue was definitely not an ordinary statue. It contained the dragon might of primogenitor Jianwang, and could even comprehend the scene of primogenitor Tianlong's battle. According to the rumors, this stone dragon statue was personally carved by primogenitor Jianwang. Chu Fengmian did not believe it at first, but now he was almost convinced. It's impossible for me to take this stone dragon statue away. Chu Fengmian observed his surroundings. This small world seemed peaceful, but in fact, it was full of restrictive formations. Even Chu Fengmian could not see some of the restrictive formations clearly. However, Chu Fengmian knew that even if the 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu came, he would not be able to snatch this stone dragon statue away. Of course, even a heavenly being would have to think twice. It was impossible for Chu Fengmian to snatch it away now. It's better for me to properly comprehend it. Since this is the Holy Dragon Mystery Ground, as long as I have sufficient contribution points, I can continue to comprehend it. When Chu Fengmian recalled the strength of the Sacred Dragon Mystery Plane, he suppressed the thought. At the very least, if Chu Fengmian wanted to snatch the 1,000-kilometer stone dragon statue, it would be no different from committing suicide. Moreover, the 1,000-mile stone dragon statue had been in the Sacred Dragon Mystery Dimension for hundreds of thousands of years and would not run away. Chu Fengmian's mind calmed down again. He sat in front of the 1,000-mile stone dragon statue and began to comprehend. Every move was constantly changing in Chu Fengmian's mind. The aura on his body was also constantly changing. From time to time, he would unleash a dragon race martial technique. As Xiaochen executed the dragon race martial techniques, he compared them to find the flaws of Chu Fengmian's dragon race martial techniques. 9 moves of the primogenitor. The longer Chu Fengmian studied the stone dragon statue, the more things he could glean from it. Chu Fengmian vaguely understood the existence of the 9 forms of the primogenitor. All dragon race martial techniques were derived from the 9 forms of the primogenitor. For example, the Battle Dragon Claw and the Sky Ripping Claw were all part of the first form of the 9 forms of the primogenitor. The Sky Ripping Claw was the essence of the first form.
Now that Chu Fengmian had repeatedly executed and comprehended it, he finally comprehended the first form of the 9 forms of the primogenitor. Chu Fengmian slowly stood up and looked before him. The battle dragon bloodline in his body was pushed to the limit. First form. His right hand suddenly turned into a dragon claw. With 40,000 formations covering it, the dragon claw before him was like the real primogenitor Jianwang's dragon claw. Rumble. Chu Fengmian's body moved. He activated the claw and attacked forward. A terrifying dragon's might was unleashed from Chu Fengmian's body. It turned into a 7-colored light and merged with the claw. Behind Chu Fengmian, one could faintly see the shadow of a huge dragon. Kacha. An explosion resounded across the world. Violent shockwaves swept out in all directions. Wherever the claw passed, space would be torn apart and shattered. Fortunately, the valley was strengthened by countless restrictive formations. Otherwise, the power of the claw would be enough to completely tear the valley apart. Even a 6th tribulation true emperor would be torn apart in front of Chu Fengmian. Just how powerful was this? Keep in mind that Chu Fengmian hasn't activated his soaring serpent bloodline. Just the power of Tianlong's bloodline alone was enough. Such a powerful move, worthy of being the origin of the dragon race's martial techniques. When Chu Fengmian saw the power of this move, he was incomparably astonished. This was the power of the first move, the martial skill created by the ancestor Sky Dragon. However, Chu Fengmian's body soon felt empty and incomparably tired. For a warrior at Chu Fengmian's level, his body would almost never feel tired, but after using the first move of this move, Chu Fengmian still felt tired. This was the reason why Chu Fengmian's energy was depleted. Of course, this feeling was different from when he used the Emperor Jar. The Emperor Jar would drain Chu Fengmian of his spiritual power, while the first move would drain the power of the ancestral Sky Dragon bloodline in Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian sat in the same place for more than 10 minutes before he completely recovered. 10 minutes wasn't a long time, but it was fatal in a battle. After using this move, Chu Fengmian wouldn't be able to use any dragon race martial techniques for the next 10 minutes. This wasn't a big deal for Chu Fengmian. His bloodline wasn't only Tianlong's, he also had his own Tao of the Sword. However, this move could only be used at a critical moment. In addition to comprehending the first form of the 9 forms of the primogenitor, Chu Fengmian's dragon race martial techniques were completely different from before. The power of his battle dragon claw was at least twice as strong as before. Although Chu Fengmian's cultivation realm didn't change, coming to the primogenitor statue to comprehend had brought him great benefits. Whoosh! At this moment, the jade token on Chu Fengmian's body suddenly shattered. Then, Chu Fengmian was directly sent flying out of the valley by a force. Is 14 days up already? Chu Fengmian stood outside the valley and looked at the remaining 200,000 contribution points in his jade token. He felt a little pained. After spending 1.3 million contribution points in obtaining the primogenitor statue comprehension token, Chu Fengmian had only managed to obtain 14 days to comprehend the primogenitor statue in the blink of an eye. Chapter 13:16. It seems that I will need a lot of contribution points to fully comprehend the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Chu Fengmian looked back at the primogenitor statue and couldn't help but sigh. His harvest in the past 14 days was already huge. Not to mention comprehending the first move of the 9 moves of the primogenitor, even perfecting the Dragon Clan martial technique was worth it for Chu Fengmian. Not to mention, Chu Fengmian had also comprehended the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Although Chu Fengmian had only comprehended the first move, it was still an opening. As long as Chu Fengmian continued to comprehend it, he would be able to comprehend the second and third moves. After all, Chu Fengmian had the bloodline of the primogenitor Jianwang. His comprehension speed was already extremely amazing. Other disciples of the Sacred Dragon's secret domain who came to comprehend the primogenitor statue were mostly perfecting their martial techniques. No one had heard of anyone who could comprehend the 9 moves of the primogenitor. The only thing that gave Chu Fengmian a headache was the contribution points. Comprehending the statue for a day required 100,000 contribution points.
Chu Fengmian had obtained more than 1,000,000 contribution points from killing the demon clan in the Nether Ghost region. Moreover, it wasn't just Chu Fengmian himself who had killed the demon clan. Most of the contribution points were obtained from young noble Shui. If Chu Fengmian went to the Nether Ghost realm by himself, it would take him at least several dozen days to accumulate 100,000 contribution points. Compared to others, this speed was already astonishing, but for Chu Fengmian, it was still too slow. Chu Fengmian didn't have time to waste on such things. Moreover, he had offended the young emperor. Unless it was a last resort, Chu Fengmian didn't intend to go to the Nether Ghost region before he could protect himself. It seems that the plan I thought of before can be realized. Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. After facing Zhuang Yan's provocation, Chu Fengmian suddenly thought of the plan. It seemed that it was faster to earn contribution points directly from others. Chu Fengmian thought as he walked out of the valley. Outside, the old man was still half asleep on the chair. In the past 14 days, Chu Fengmian was the only one who came to comprehend the primogenitor statue. After all, it would cost 100,000 contribution points to comprehend each time. Most of the Sacred Dragon Mystery Ground's core disciples could not afford it. Only martial practitioners and demonic immortals like Chu Fengmian who possessed the dragon bloodline would come here. "You're out?" Just as Chu Fengmian was about to leave, the old man suddenly woke up and said, "How is it?" "I've comprehended something." Chu Fengmian was unsure of the old man's attitude, but he still replied respectfully. After all, the old man was an expert of Emperor Gu. At the very least, he was a supreme elder of the Sacred Dragon secret domain. Not bad. Looks like the primogenitor bloodline in your body was not wasted. If you have contribution points in the future, you should come and study it. The old man glanced at Chu Fengmian, then closed his eyes and went back to sleep. These words confused Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian did not pay much attention to them. He stepped into the teleportation array and left. The world was spinning. The scene in front of Chu Fengmian suddenly changed, and he returned to the palace. When Chu Fengmian left, he saw a flash on the jade talisman. It was a message from Luokong, informing Chu Fengmian that he had already left and returned to the Holy Dragon Sect. "I'll return to the Holy Dragon Sect later. I have to earn some contribution points first." Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed. After studying the primogenitor statue, Chu Fengmian knew that there were many benefits, so he naturally wouldn't let them go. After leaving the Sacred Dragon secret domain, Chu Fengmian would no longer have such benefits. He had to study the statue a few more times in order to comprehend a few more of the 9 forms of the primogenitor. The power of the 9 forms of the primogenitor would increase exponentially. The 9th form was said to be able to tear apart a continent and crush a planet. If one could learn it, they would be comparable to the real primogenitor, Jianwang. I heard that Mubai has already reached the Emperor realm. He's comparable to a 4 tribulation true Emperor right after entering the Emperor realm. No wonder he's a genius of the 4 sections. When Chu Fengmian was about to leave, he suddenly heard the discussion of the people next to him. "Oh? A newcomer who just broke through and is already a 4 tribulation true Emperor? He's indeed a devilish genius. After all, he's a member of the Mu family. It's normal for him to be extremely talented." I heard that Mu Bai's title as the newcomer king was snatched away by someone called Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian even joined the Sacred Dragon sect and suppressed Mu Bai for a while. That's why Mu Bai worked so hard to break through. This year's newcomers are indeed not bad. There are 2 geniuses of the 4 sections. I wonder who's the real number 1. If it was before, Chu Fengmian would definitely be stronger, but this time, Mu Bai seized the opportunity and stepped into the Emperor realm. His strength has increased by 10 times, so he should be the one who is stronger now. Many disciples of the Sacred Dragon secret domain were discussing this. At this moment, a figure slowly walked in. Some of the disciples of the Sacred Dragon secret domain went over and spoke. "Congratulations, senior brother Mu Xian. The Mu family has produced another genius this year." The person who came in was none other than Mu Xian. Now, many disciples of the sacred dragon's secret domain came to congratulate him. Mu Xian was a genius of the Six Ultimates sect, one of the 4 sections. Behind him was the Mu family, a huge family. Many disciples wanted to curry favor with him. Even if they didn't ask for anything, it was still a good thing to have a good relationship with him. But now, Mu Xian's face was obviously not looking good. Ever since he was almost defeated by Chu Fengmian's Heart Demon King, Mu Xian's face had always been like this. His heart was filled with endless anger. After all, if not for his master, Emperor Gu Fanguang, who dared to come, Mu Xian would have lost his life on the spot. Just as his gaze swept across the crowd, it suddenly locked onto a figure walking over. Chu Fengmian, it's you? Mu Xian spoke with an extremely gloomy voice. But under this gloomy voice, everyone could hear the accumulated anger in Mu Xian's voice. You still dare to come and comprehend? The accumulated anger in his heart was completely ignited the moment he saw Chu Fengmian's figure. A terrifying power surged out from Mu Xian's body. He was almost trapped by his heart demon. Now that he was exposed, his strength seemed to have improved. This terrifying power caused some of the weaker disciples to be unable to breathe. Why wouldn't I dare? Didn't you open this Tao Enlightenment Palace? Hearing Mu Xian's words, Chu Fengmian did not hold back. Chu Fengmian's attitude was like this. If he respected him, Chu Fengmian would return it 3 times. As for an enemy like Mu Xian, Chu Fengmian would not give him any face. Chapter 13-17. That's Chu Fengmian. I heard that this year's newcomer king joined the Holy Dragon sect. He dares to talk to senior brother Mu Xian like that? Even if he's a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect, he shouldn't be so arrogant. Many of the Holy Dragon Mystery Grounds disciples turned their gazes toward Chu Fengmian. Their eyes flickered as they sized him up. Only at the Eternal Realm? Not even a quasi-emperor? He's qualified to join the Holy Dragon sect? He can't be underestimated. I heard that he defeated Jianwang. Defeated Jianwang? That's nothing. Jianwang is a big shot in the 8 halls, but in the 4 sects, he's not even an ordinary disciple. He's only a 4 tribulation true emperor. Even Mu Bai can defeat him. Many disciples here were hostile towards Chu Fengmian. Some of them even had a hint of jealousy in their tone. The Holy Dragon sect's disciples were the source of their jealousy. In their eyes, Chu Fengmian wasn't qualified to join the sect. After all, many of the Holy Dragon sect's disciples were geniuses from the other 3 sections. These people were famous before joining the Holy Dragon sect. Chu Fengmian was only a newcomer. What qualifications did he have to join the Holy Dragon sect? Brat, you tricked me this time. I haven't had the time to settle the score with you yet, but you still dare to come out. Mu Xian's cold eyes glared at Chu Fengmian. The murderous intent in his eyes showed that he wanted nothing more than to kill Chu Fengmian right now. He and Chu Fengmian simply had an irreconcilable grudge. Oh? I didn't expect that you haven't turned into the servant of the Heart Devil. It seems that I've underestimated you. Chu Fengmian smirked after hearing Mu Xian's murderous intent. You haven't learned your lesson yet? You still dare to come in front of me? Damn it. Damn it. When Mu Xian heard these words, the murderous intent in his body boiled, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. As a disciple of the 6 Ultimates sect and a 5 Tribulation True Emperor, he could completely crush Chu Fengmian in terms of cultivation. However, he almost died at the hands of Chu Fengmian's Heart Devil. It should be said that if it wasn't for Emperor Gu of Fanguang, he would have died in Chu Fengmian's hands. This was a grudge and also a humiliation. As a genius of the 4 sects, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? Ever since he was rescued by Emperor Gu Fanguang, his heart had been burning with rage. He could not wait to kill Chu Fengmian and the Holy Dragon sect. Now that he heard Chu Fengmian's words and even dared to expose his scars, Mu Xian wanted nothing more than to attack. However, the moment his spiritual energy erupted, a large hand appeared out of thin air and directly suppressed Mu Xian's spiritual energy. At the same time, an authoritative voice was heard. No fighting is allowed in the Tao Enlightenment Palace. This voice was like an iron order. Even Mu Xian did not dare to cross the line. Humph. Mu Xian coldly snorted as the spiritual energy in his hand gradually dissipated. This was the Tao Enlightenment Palace, which could be said to be the most unfathomable place in the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. He did not dare to attack here and could only glare fiercely at Chu Fengmian as he coldly snorted. I'll spare your life today. I don't believe that you'll stay in this Tao Enlightenment Palace for the rest of your life. If you dare to leave, don't blame me for being impolite. The threat in Mu Xian's words was self-evident. Many disciples of the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension could not help but look at Chu Fengmian when they heard this. Their eyes were filled with schadenfreude. They did not understand the grudge between Chu Fengmian and Mu Xian. However, since Mu Xian had said such words, it also proved his determination. In the future, Chu Fengmian would have to at least avoid Mu Xian in the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. Even though the Holy Dragon sect was powerful, Chu Fengmian was still a newcomer. In this way, it would be difficult for him to take a single step in the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension in the future. Is that so? You're just a mad dog. How dare you spout nonsense here? Chu Fengmian looked at Mu Xian and said coldly. Didn't you want to kill me? Do you dare to fight in the life and death arena? Do you dare to fight in the life and death arena? Hearing this, everyone was stunned for a moment. They were all speechless, especially when these words came out of Chu Fengmian's mouth. They could understand if it was Mu Xian who said it, but now, it was Chu Fengmian who said it. Originally, Chu Fengmian already had a way out. After all, the Tao Enlightenment Hall prohibited disciples from fighting in the Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension. But now, Chu Fengmian actually took the initiative to provoke Mu Xian? After a brief silence, the crowd was in an uproar. Is this brat crazy? Is he courting death? An eternal cultivator challenging a 5-tribulation true emperor? Even if the Holy Dragon sect's disciples are all monstrous geniuses, none of them can do this. A newcomer who joined the Holy Dragon sect is bound to be arrogant. Who would have thought that he doesn't know the immensity of the heaven and earth? Looks like this newcomer is about to fall. Everyone looked at Chu Fengmian with ridicule in their eyes. In their eyes, Chu Fengmian was courting death. An eternal cultivator daring to challenge a 5-tribulation true emperor? Even a fool wouldn't say such a thing. There was no turning back now, especially when Chu Fengmian took the initiative to say it. What? You don't dare to accept? Chu Fengmian continued after seeing that Mu Xian didn't speak. If you don't dare to accept, then kneel now and I can spare your life. Ha ha. Mu Xian's eyes flashed coldly after hearing this. Brat, I originally wanted to let you go, but it seems like you're courting death? Don't blame me then, isn't this the life and death arena? Come. Mu Xian's eyes flashed with disdain. He lost to Chu Fengmian not because of Chu Fengmian, but because of the king of the inner demon. Now, his Tao heart was firm. Even the king of the inner demon wouldn't be able to affect him like last time. As for Chu Fengmian, he was only an eternal cultivator and didn't put him in his eyes. Mu Xian's figure flashed and took the lead to walk out of the Tao Enlightenment Palace. He glanced at Chu Fengmian, then turned into an escape light and said coldly, I'll wait for you at the life and death arena. Whoosh. After saying that, Mu Xian turned into an escape light and flew into the sky. Chu Fengmian followed closely behind. He also turned into an escape light and flew towards the life and death arena. They're really going to fight. A newcomer dares to challenge senior brother Mu Xian to the life and death arena? Let's go and see how this brat dies. If he dies, he'll definitely be the shortest-lived disciple of the Holy Dragon sect. Let's go and see. Many disciples of the Holy Dragon secret realm also activated their escape light and flew towards the life and death arena. They also wanted to see with their own eyes how Chu Fengmian, a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect, would die. Chapter 13:18. The square around the life and death stage was filled with disciples. Not only the 6 Ultimates sect, but the other 2 sects in the 8 halls also came to watch the show. the news of Chu Fengmian and Mu Xian's duel on the life and death stage spread across the entire Sacred Dragon secret realm. These two names were familiar to the majority of the disciples. One was a genius from the Six Ultimates sect, while Chu Fengmian was a newcomer from the Holy Dragon sect. The Holy Dragon sect's disciples were all monstrous geniuses. Before Chu Fengmian joined, there were only 5 disciples who were enough to dominate the Sacred Dragon secret realm. Therefore, many disciples didn't have good intentions towards Chu Fengmian and wanted to meet him. Now that they heard that Chu Fengmian was going to fight Mu Xian to the death, they all rushed over. Before Chu Fengmian arrived at the life and death stage, the square around the stage was already filled with disciples. There were even more who dared to come over. Our Sacred Dragon secret realm hasn't had such a lively event for a long time. Disciples of the 4 sects, the life and death stage. There's also a disciple from the Holy Dragon sect. But why does Chu Fengmian want to fight Mu Xian? I heard that he's only at the Eternal Realm. Isn't he courting death by fighting Mu Xian? I heard that he took the initiative to fight. Does he have a unique trump card? Even if he's a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect, he can't surpass so many levels. Plus, he's just a newcomer. Then do you think the Holy Dragon sect will let Chu Fengmian die in Mu Xian's hands? It's hard to say. The Holy Dragon sect took a lot of effort to recruit a new disciple. They won't let him die in vain. But even the Holy Dragon sect doesn't dare to break the rules of the life and death stage. Seeing that Chu Fengmian and Mu Xian hadn't arrived yet, many disciples began to discuss. They didn't know Chu Fengmian's strength, but the fact that he was only at the Eternal Realm was spread out. Chu Fengmian's opponent, Mu Xian, was a genius from the Six Ultimates sect. Although the sect wasn't as strong as the Holy Dragon sect, it was still one of the 4 sections. Mu Xian was a 5 Tribulation True Emperor who had defeated many 6 Tribulation True Emperors. The difference between an Eternal and a 5 Tribulation True Emperor was unimaginable. Boom! While everyone was conversing, a streak of light descended from the sky and landed on the life and death arena. This streak of light contained a violent spiritual energy. It's Mu Xian. Senior Mu Xian is here. Senior brother Mu Xian, kill this child and let the Holy Dragon sect know the power of our Six Ultimates sect. Many Six Ultimates sect disciples rushed over. When they saw Mu Xian appear, they loudly cheered him on. As Mu Xian stepped into the life and death arena, a ray of light flew over and landed on the life and death arena. The speed of this light wasn't any slower than Mu Xian's. What a fast streak of light! Some of the disciples were surprised to see Chu Fengmian's flying light. The speed of light was directly related to one's realm. Chu Fengmian's current realm was so far below Mu Xian's, but his current speed was not inferior to Mu Xian's. This was already enough to make people gasp in admiration. So what if you're fast? Once you enter the life and death arena, you won't rest until you're dead. Furthermore, there are restrictions. No matter how fast that person is, he won't be able to escape. A Six Ultimates sect disciple disdainfully said when he heard these words. A brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth dares to challenge senior brother Mu Xian. It seems that this person is courting death. That's right. In a while, when they fight, senior brother Mu Xian will kill him as easily as crushing an ant. While the group of Six Ultimates sect disciples were still chatting with each other, another 2 streaks of light descended. The moment these 2 streaks of light appeared, a dragon's roar resounded through the world. Divine Dragon Escape Technique. The people from the Holy Dragon sect are here. Hearing this dragon roar, many people knew who it was that had arrived. 2 streaks of light flew all the way to Chu Fengmian's side. It was third senior sister Qing Meng and Luo Kang. Senior brother, I didn't expect that you would make such a big commotion as soon as you came out of seclusion. Luo Kang saw Chu Fengmian, but his face wasn't nervous as he smiled and said. Qing Meng's eyes flickered as she sized up Chu Fengmian. She couldn't help but frown. Junior brother, are you confident that you can defeat Mu Xian? Although Qing Meng knew that Chu Fengmian had an extremely powerful king of inner demons, Mu Xian's Dao heart was firm. Using the King of Inner Demons to deal with Mu Xian was impossible unless Mu Xian's flaws were exposed. But after all, Chu Fengmian's realm was still too low. Even the immortal realm might not be able to expose Mu Xian's flaws. At that time, no matter how strong the King of Inner Demons was, it wouldn't have the power to fight back. Therefore, Qing Meng wasn't very optimistic about Chu Fengmian's chances. Third senior sister, don't worry. I have 100% confidence in dealing with this person. Chu Fengmian also heard Qing Meng's concern and said with a smile. 100% confidence? Hearing this, Qing Meng's eyes flashed with surprise. How confident did he have to be to say such words? Although she didn't talk much with Chu Fengmian, she also knew that Chu Fengmian wasn't the kind of person who was arrogant and didn't speak without thinking. Third senior sister, don't worry. It's easy for senior brother to deal with this person. Luo Kan said with a smile. Others didn't know, but he had fought with Chu Fengmian before. Even he wasn't a match for Chu Fengmian, and that was under the condition that Chu Fengmian didn't use the King of Inner Demons. Now that Chu Fengmian had the help of the King of Inner Demons, dealing with Mu Xian would be a piece of cake. Is that so? Qing Meng wanted to say something, but after hearing Luo Kang's words, she didn't continue. Luo Kang had always been with Chu Fengmian. Since Luo Kang was so confident, she also believed that Chu Fengmian would definitely win. If you're in danger, use the Jade Talisman. The restrictions of the life and death arena won't be able to withstand the power of senior brother's Jade Talisman. Qing Meng was still a little worried and said. As long as you leave the life and death arena, I can guarantee your safety. Thank you, third senior sister. Hearing this, Chu Fengmian's heart warmed. He could see that although this third senior sister hadn't seen much, her concern was genuine. The Holy Dragon sect was indeed united. Under such an atmosphere, even Chu Fengmian couldn't help but integrate into the Holy Dragon sect. Chapter 13-19. Senior brother, quickly take care of him. Luo Kan looked at Chu Fengmian and said with a smile. He had a grudge with Mu Xian, but Mu Xian didn't dare to fight Luo Kan in the life and death stage. Now, Chu Fengmian finally had the chance. Don't worry, he's just a dog. Killing him will be as easy as crushing an ant. Chu Fengmian casually said and stepped into the life and death stage. Qing Meng and Luo Kan also retreated to the square. Many disciples in the vicinity quickly made way for them. They didn't know Chu Fengmian's strength, but Qing Meng and Luo Kan had earned their reputation through fighting. Not many disciples dared to provoke them, not even the elders. Tell me, how do you want to die? Chu Fengmian stepped into the life and death stage and glanced at Mu Xian. His words set off 1,000 waves. Is this brat crazy? He still wants to provoke Mu Xian at this time? He's just a trapped beast. He's still so stubborn even in the face of death. Looks like this brat is too arrogant after joining the Sacred Dragon secret realm. He still dares to provoke Mu Xian now. Let's wait for Mu Xian to teach him a lesson and he'll know the immensity of heaven and earth. I don't understand. If this brat is crazy, how did he join the Sacred Dragon sect? Many disciples looked at Chu Fengmian with a strange attitude. Of course, they wouldn't believe that a madman could join the Sacred Dragon sect. But now, Chu Fengmian's action was no different from a lunatic. Challenging a 5-tribulation true emperor with his immortal realm cultivation was akin to suicide. Chu Fengmian, do you want to die? Mu Xian's murderous intent soared to the sky as he stared at Chu Fengmian. Shameless boasting. You think you're my match because of your heart's devil? Last time, you were just lucky to have tricked me once. Today, I'll show you my true power. Mu Xian couldn't restrain his anger anymore. At this time, a seal appeared in the life and death stage. This seal completely sealed the stage. According to the rules, unless one of them died, the battle would never end. The appearance of this seal signified the start of the battle. Mu. Mu Xian shouted as a Mu word appeared behind his back. When this Mu word appeared, Mu Xian's aura was completely different from before. The word Mu seemed to represent the pinnacle of martial arts. An illusory figure appeared behind Mu Xian's back. This illusory figure resembled a martial god. It's Emperor Wu. He was once an invincible old ancestor of the Mu clan, an existence who could fight a heavenly being. Some disciples exclaimed. This is the Mu family's most ancient martial arts legacy. Only the geniuses of the Mu family disciples could use martial arts to summon Emperor Wu's shadow. Mu Xian's martial way has already reached the advanced stage. This Mu Xian, he's still holding back? They had never seen Mu Xian use this move before. Mu Xian's strength was even more terrifying than they had imagined. This kid is dead for sure. Many Six Ultimate Sect disciples sneered again and again. Even if Mu Xian did not conceal his strength, they did not think that Chu Fengmian could possibly be Mu Xian's opponent, let alone now. Brat, prepare to die. Under the illusory figure of Emperor Wu, Mu Xian's body became huge. His hands clenched and turned into two whips in the air. The sky shattered and everything was destroyed. Under these two whips, the space around Chu Fengmian was forcibly shattered and collapsed, turning into a void. Under this move, even a Sixth Tribulation true emperor would find it difficult to resist. King of the Inner Demon. Chu Fengmian was extremely calm in the face of these two whips. He only called out and the King of the Inner Demon appeared behind him. The appearance of the King of the Inner Demon was akin to the arrival of a Supreme Devil King. The devil intent surged and the entire life and death stage turned into an ancient devil domain. The King of the Inner Demon attacked and the two waves of devil intent struck towards the two whips. Crack! Under this devil intent, the two whips in Mu Xian's hands were forcibly shattered. What a powerful demonic creature! Is this the Inner Demon? The Inner Demon of Enlightenment Mountain? How could such an existence be subdued by this brat? Could he be from the devil race? Seeing the appearance of the King of the Inner Demon, the inner demons of many disciples became restless. Although the King of the Inner Demon's target was not them, when they looked at the King of the Inner Demon, they all felt that their inner demons were about to be drawn out. Break! At this time, Emperor Gu suddenly took action and dispersed the devil intent in the surroundings, dispelling the inner demons of the disciples. This Chu Fengmian must be a spy of the devil race. Yes, senior brother Mu Xian, quickly kill this person and clean up our sacred dragon secret domain. The group of Six Ultimate Sect disciples all shouted even more loudly. You have some ability. On the life and death stage, Mu Xian saw the King of the Inner Demon easily dispelling his attack and snorted coldly. However, his killing intent did not diminish. But today, you must die. Great divine light of salvation. In between Mu Xian's eyebrows, a golden light suddenly appeared. The golden light filled the sky and completely dispelled the devil intent in the surroundings, as if to completely eliminate this ancient devil domain. This was the cultivation technique that Mu Xian specially learned to deal with Chu Fengmian these days. It was enough to restrain all the devil race. Chu Fengmian's strength had never been taken seriously by Mu Xian. If he wanted to deal with Chu Fengmian, he only needed to deal with the King of the Inner Demon. The Great Divine Light of Salvation was a secret technique to deal with the devil race. When he used it now, the devil intent could not reach his body. Although he could not eliminate the King of the Inner Demon, Mu Xian's goal was to kill Chu Fengmian. As for the King of the Inner Demon, he did not care at all. Little bastard, let's see what you can do now. Mu Xian showed a somewhat sinister smile. He did not care about the King of the Inner Demon. Instead, he condensed a whip again and aimed at Chu Fengmian's body. Not good. Seeing this, Qing Meng's eyes flickered. Mu Xian could not deal with the King of the Inner Demon, but Chu Fengmian might not be able to withstand Mu Xian's attack. Many disciples of the Six Ultimate Sect were even more excited as they shouted. They all saw victory. But in the next moment, the shouts came to an abrupt end. Many Six Ultimate Sect disciples opened their mouths wide, but they could not make any sound. When the whip was less than 3 feet away from Chu Fengmian, it suddenly stopped. Chapter 1320. The moment the black shadow appeared, Mu Xian's body froze in the air. That whip was only 3 feet away from striking Chu Fengmian's body. Right now, no matter what Mu Xian did, he was unable to move his body again. His body was completely occupied by the black shadow. Heart demon. It's a heart demon. Some of the disciples had already recognized what the black shadow was. What's going on? Didn't Mu Xian suppress the heart demon? How could he be controlled by it? Countless disciples were in disbelief. Just a moment ago, Mu Xian was still suppressing the heart demon king, but in the blink of an eye, his body was controlled by the heart demon. How is this possible? My grand salvation sage light is something that no one from the devil folk can get close to. How could this be? Mu Xian's heart was filled with fear. He wanted to move his body, but he realized that his body no longer belonged to him. Even if he wanted to use his spiritual power, he couldn't do it. Great divine light of salvation. You want to restrain the heart demon king? Ridiculous. Hearing Mu Xian's words, Chu Fengmian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. The great divine light of salvation was one of the secret techniques that could restrain the demon race, but it could only deal with ordinary demons. Ordinary heart demons couldn't get close to Mu Xian, but the heart demon king wasn't an ordinary demon. Moreover, the heart demon king had devoured many demons when he followed Chu Fengmian in the Nether Ghost region. As a result, the heart demon king was even stronger than when he was at Enlightenment Mountain. The heart demon king's invasion happened silently. By the time Mu Xian realized it, his body was already under the heart demon king's control. Battle Dragon Claw. Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed as he looked at Mu Xian. The battle dragon claw condensed above Chu Fengmian's head and struck towards Mu Xian's head. Not good, break. Great divine light of salvation. Mu Xian's expression changed drastically. The light between his brows continued to emit in an attempt to dispel the corrosion of the heart demon. However, the heart demon that had just appeared was completely suppressed by the heart demon king's large hand. Boundless demonic will was corroding Mu Xian's body, causing him to stand in the air without any ability to retaliate. To Mu Xian, even escaping was an extravagant hope, let alone fighting back. Die! Chu Feng mercilessly spat out a single word. Following which, the war dragon's claw mercilessly descended upon Mu Xian. No! Mu Xian roared, but he could only watch as the battle dragon's claw descended. Stop! A dazzling light suddenly appeared in the sky. Behind the light, there seemed to be a powerful cultivator tearing through the sky. An arm directly grabbed at the life and death ring. It's Emperor Gu, Fanguang. Emperor Gu of Fanguang is here to save them. Mu Xian is his proud disciple after all. Emperor Gu of Fanguang will definitely not let Mu Xian die in the life and death ring like this. Seeing Emperor Gu of Fanguang make a move, many disciples of Six Ultimates sect heaved a sigh of relief. At least Mu Xian's life was saved. However, when this arm approached the life and death ring, it was immediately blocked by a green light. At the same time, a graceful figure appeared in front of the life and death ring. Fanguang, you are not qualified to intervene in the matters of the life and death ring. Are you planning to violate the sect's rules? The person who intervened was Chu Fengmian's third senior sister, Qing Meng. She was also an Emperor Gu. She suddenly intervened and easily stopped Emperor Gu of Fanguang. Now that she was standing in front of the life and death ring, she was like a huge mountain. No one should even think about crossing her and intervening in the matters of the life and death ring. Chu Fengmian fought with Mu Xian in the life and death ring. Even if Mu Xian died, he deserved it. Now that Emperor Gu of Fanguang wanted to intervene and break the rules, of course, she would not agree. Qing Meng. Must your holy dragon sect shed all pretense of cordiality with our Six Ultimates sect? That Chu Fengmian is obviously a spy of the demon race. Do you plan to cover for him? Emperor Gu of Fanguang saw that Mu Xian was in danger and roared. Get out of my way! Whether he is a spy of the demon race or not, it is not up to your Six Ultimates sect to decide. Moreover, Chu Fengmian is a disciple of my holy dragon sect. If anything happens to him, it is our responsibility. What does it have to do with you? Qing Meng stood in front of the life and death ring and stared at Fan Guang. If you dare to barge in, come. Qing Meng spoke, not yielding an inch. Ah! While they were arguing, one of Mu Xian's arms was chopped off on the spot. Chu Feng Mian, who was in the life and death ring, did not intend to kill Mu Xian directly. He was just toying with him. He deliberately left him alive and only chopped off one of his arms. A blood-curdling scream was immediately heard from the life and death ring. Xianer. Emperor Gu of Fan Guang was anxious when he heard the scream. However, Qing Meng was not someone he could defeat. The disciples of the Holy Dragon sect had always been invincible in the same realm. This Qing Meng was Emperor Gu. She was not someone he could fight against. Chu Feng Mian, you dare to kill my disciple. I will hunt you down to the ends of the earth and kill you. Emperor Gu of Fan Guang rushed to the life and death ring and shouted fiercely. A threat. This was Emperor Gu of Fan Guang's threat. An Emperor Gu's threat. Countless eyes looked at Chu Feng Mian, who was in the life and death ring. They wanted to see how Chu Feng Mian would choose. Chu Feng Mian might not care about other people's threats. However, Emperor Gu of Fan Guang was an Emperor Gu. No matter how strong Chu Feng Mian was now, he could not compete with an Emperor Gu. In particular, Emperor Gu had to keep his promise. Otherwise, it would affect his Dao heart. Since Emperor Gu of Fan Guang dared to threaten Chu Feng Mian, he had to keep his word. If Chu Feng Mian killed Mu Xian today, he would definitely come after Chu Feng Mian. Killing Mu Xian would mean becoming an enemy of Emperor Gu. Everyone was moved and did not know how to choose. Is that so? Chu Feng Mian only raised his head coldly and looked at Emperor Gu of Fan Guang. He slowly opened his mouth and said, "Then you watch carefully." As Chu Feng Mian spoke, he condensed the battle dragon claw and pointed it at Mu Xian. How dare you? Emperor Gu of Fan Guang's face was gloomy. Before he could finish his words, Chu Feng Mian's words had overshadowed his. Why wouldn't I dare? This sentence spread throughout the life and death ring. At the same time, the battle dragon claw came down. Fresh blood spurted out. Under everyone's gaze, Mu Xian's body was smashed into pieces. At the same time, a lump appeared in the air. Chapter 13:21. Mu Xian's blood essence was incinerated in the air. The square around the life and death ring was dead silent. Countless disciples were looking at the ball of flames. Even if an ordinary Emperor Realm expert's body was destroyed, as long as there was still some blood essence left, there would still be a chance to rebuild the body. Although rebuilding the body would require countless heavenly treasures to recover, it was still better than reviving the dead. But now, Chu Fengmian had made a move to eliminate the source of trouble. Not only did he shatter Mu Xian's body, even his blood essence was not spared by Chu Fengmian. In the ball of flames, Mu Xian's blood essence was incinerated. Too ruthless. Everyone looked at Chu Fengmian in a completely different light. They originally thought that Chu Fengmian was just a newcomer. Today, he had already forced Mu Xian to such a state. Destroying Mu Xian's body and leaving him alive would also give them an explanation to Emperor Gu. After all, as long as Chu Fengmian did not kill Mu Xian today, Emperor Gu would have no excuse to find trouble with Chu Fengmian. However, they never expected that Chu Fengmian would not even care about Emperor Gu's threat. He killed Mu Xian without giving him any chance. Mu Xian's blood essence was incinerated. It could be said that he was dead. Even Emperor Gu would not be able to bring him back to life. After the flames incinerated Mu Xian's blood essence, they slowly disappeared. Then, only an empty ring was left in the field of flames. As Chu Fengmian waved his hand, the empty ring fell into his body. At the same time, Chu Fengmian found Mu Xian's identity token in the empty ring. There were more than 3 million contribution points in Mu Xian's identity token. Not bad. Chu Fengmian smiled. 3 million contribution points were enough for Chu Fengmian to go to the primogenitor statue to study for a month. The people of the Mu family were indeed rich. Now, Chu Fengmian wanted to kill a few more of them to make a fortune. In the square, Luo Kang turned into a ray of light and came to Chu Fengmian's side. He smiled and said to Chu Fengmian, "Senior brother, well done." Luo Kang and Mu Xian originally had some grudges. Seeing that Mu Xian had died at Chu Fengmian's hands, Luo Kang felt no joy in his heart. He laughed loudly. On the other hand, Emperor Gu's face was ashen. Looking at Emperor Gu's current appearance, the surroundings of the life and death arena were completely silent. No one dared to speak at this moment. Mu Xian was the most valued disciple of Emperor Gu of Fanguang. Otherwise, Mu Xian wouldn't have been able to obtain the Great Salvation Holy Light in such a short period of time. This kind of high-end secret technique to deal with the demon clan was obviously bestowed to him by Emperor Gu of Fanguang. Now, Chu Fengmian had directly killed Mu Xian in front of Emperor Gu of Fanguang. He didn't even care about Fanguang's threats. He didn't leave any face for Fanguang. Holy Dragon Sect. Chu Fengmian, this emperor will remember you. You must remember this emperor's words. Emperor Gu of Fanguang originally wanted to make a move. However, he felt Qing Meng's presence beside him. He also knew that even if he flipped out now, he wouldn't get any benefits. He snorted coldly and left in a flash. Junior brother, congratulations. Qing Meng saw Emperor Gu of Fanguang leave and came to Chu Fengmian's side to congratulate him. When she looked at Chu Fengmian, her gaze was different. Originally, Qing Meng had some doubts about whether Chu Fengmian was trying to show off by saying that he could deal with Mu Xian. But now, Mu Xian wasn't Chu Fengmian's opponent at all. He had always been controlled by Chu Fengmian. Even when Mu Xian was controlled by the demon heart in the end, she was shocked. It seemed that Chu Fengmian's ability to control the demon heart was more powerful than she had imagined. Be careful. Since Fanguang said those words to you, he will definitely make a move on you. Especially since you killed the people of Six Ultimate Sect. I'm afraid that Six Ultimate Sect won't treat you well. Qing Meng looked at Chu Fengmian and said. To her, it didn't matter if Chu Fengmian killed someone, as long as he didn't fall into a dangerous situation. After all, although Chu Fengmian had many tricks up his sleeve, his realm was too low. This also proved that Chu Fengmian's strength came from external objects and not his own strength. If he relied on external objects, there would always be flaws. In the Holy Dragon secret realm, with me around, they won't dare to make a move. But once you leave the Holy Dragon secret realm, you have to be careful. Qing Meng glanced at Chu Fengmian and warned. I'm returning to the Holy Dragon sect. Thank you, third senior sister. Chu Fengmian replied. Qing Meng turned into a ray of light and left the life and death arena, returning to the Holy Dragon sect. A genius at Qing Meng's level would usually be cultivating bitterly. This time, she suddenly came out of seclusion and came to the life and death arena because of Chu Fengmian. Now that the dust had settled, Qing Meng also left. This third senior sister is quite protective. Chu Fengmian said with a smile. Chu Fengmian had caused trouble for the Holy Dragon sect by killing Mu Xian. But now, Qing Meng had no intention of blaming Chu Fengmian. Instead, she gave Chu Fengmian a few words of advice. Although Chu Fengmian had only seen the two of them, he could see that the Holy Dragon sect was united. Senior brother, you're amazing. You're not even afraid of Emperor Gu of Fanguang. Luo Kang looked at Chu Fengmian from the side and suddenly said in a low voice. But you have to be careful. Besides Emperor Gu of Fanguang, the Mu clan will also come to deal with you. The Mu clan has 3 Emperor Gu in the Holy Dragon secret realm. Even the Mu clan's ancestor is a 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu. Although he won't attack you, the rest of the Mu clan may not. Mu clan's ancestor? 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered slightly when he heard Luo Kang's words, but he quickly returned to normal. So what if the 9 Tribulations Emperor Gu was? Mu Xian had died in the life and death arena. Although there were not many rules in the Holy Dragon secret realm, there were a few taboos that could not be violated. Not killing fellow disciples was one of them. Death in the life and death arena was up to fate. But as long as Chu Fengmian did not die in the life and death arena, even Emperor Gu of Fanguang would not dare to attack Chu Fengmian in the Holy Dragon's secret realm. The Mu clan was powerful, but Chu Fengmian was not afraid. I can take this opportunity to earn more contribution points. Chu Fengmian suddenly came to the square. Now that the battle between Chu Fengmian and Mu Xian had attracted a large number of disciples in the Holy Dragon's secret realm, Chu Fengmian thought of his previous idea. Chu Fengmian came to the square and stood in an empty space. He pointed his finger in the air and it suddenly turned into a water mirror. A few words were written on the water mirror. Chapter 1322. There were still many disciples in the plaza that had yet to disperse. Seeing the water mirror before Chu Fengmian, many people turned their gazes over. Setting up an arena? This Chu Fengmian is planning to challenge all of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm's disciples? How arrogant. A newcomer actually dares to set up an arena. Many gazes were looking at Chu Fengmian with unfriendly gazes. There was no lack of people among them that were stronger than Mu Xian. Many disciples were eager to give it a try. Many people did not care about the 200,000 contribution points they would get from challenging Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian had just made a name for himself. Whoever managed to trample on Chu Fengmian at this moment would be able to soar into the sky and make a name for themselves in the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm. That said, although there were many onlookers, none of them actually stepped forward. Although many people were eager to give it a try, there were also traces of worry in their eyes. They were worried about none other than the King of Inner Demons. Chu Fengmian possessed the King of Inner Demons. If they were to challenge Chu Fengmian, even if they managed to defeat him, their Dao heart would be corroded by their inner demons. The gains would not make up for the losses. The disciples of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm were all exceptional geniuses. They had always relied on their undefeated drive to reach the peak. Once their Dao heart was corroded, their cultivation would stagnate for several decades. At that time, it would not be difficult for them to make another step in their cultivation. Senior brother, with the way you're setting up the arena, I'm sure no one dares to step forward. Luo Kang said to Chu Fengmian with a smile. Amen? Hearing Luo Kang's words and seeing the crowd's gazes, Chu Fengmian realized why no one dared to step forward. After all, there was the King of Inner Demons. Even if they managed to defeat Chu Fengmian, they might still be affected by the King of Inner Demons and have their Dao hearts corroded. The losses would not make up for the gains. Chu Fengmian pondered for a moment. Then, with a tap of his finger, he added another line of words onto the water mirror. Not an inner demon. Once those 4 simple words were said, the expressions of many of the Holy Dragon Mystic Realm's disciples changed. This was especially true for the disciples that were eager to challenge Chu Fengmian earlier. Their eyes immediately shone. They didn't want to fight Chu Fengmian before because they were worried about the King of Inner Demons. But now that Chu Fengmian said that it wasn't inner demons, they didn't feel any pressure when fighting Chu Fengmian. There were also many disciples who didn't want to bet with Chu Fengmian before, but all of a sudden, they were eager to give it a try. Chu Fengmian had indeed defeated Mu Xian, but everyone could tell that Mu Xian hadn't been defeated by Chu Fengmian, but by the King of the Inner Demons. Chu Fengmian's true power wasn't worth mentioning compared to Mu Xian. Without the Heart Devil, even a few 5 Tribulation True Emperors could deal with him. I'll go first. Suddenly, a figure jumped out from the crowd. It was a demon god at the 5 Tribulation True Emperor realm. His eyes flashed with golden light, a tiger demon that had achieved the Tao. I am Hu Hai from the 10,000 Dragon Hall. I am here to challenge you. Here are 200,000 contribution points. Hu Hai looked at Chu Fengmian. With a flick of his finger, he tapped the jade token on Chu Fengmian's chest. 200,000 contribution points flew out and into the sky. Come. Without the slightest hesitation, Chu Fengmian also pointed his finger, and 200,000 contribution points flew out. A total of 400,000 contribution points were placed between the two of them, floating in the air. Whoever won would get it. Wait, you're really not an inner demon? Hu Hai suddenly asked when Chu Fengmian was about to make a move. Of course. Chu Fengmian replied. Very well, then prepare to be defeated. Hu Hai's expression turned cold with a ferocious glint in his eyes. His body transformed and in the blink of an eye, he punched towards Chu Fengmian. I didn't expect Hu Hai to be the first. We should have taken the initiative. Whoever can defeat this kid first will be famous. Without an inner demon, this kid can't be considered an expert. We're still one step too late. Many people regretted not challenging Chu Fengmian earlier after seeing Hu Hai's attack. Chu Fengmian was in the limelight right now. Whoever could defeat him first would steal all the limelight from him. Which of the Holy Dragon Mystery Plane's disciples present wasn't a proud and arrogant person? All of them wanted to make a name for themselves. Unfortunately, this opportunity had been snatched away by Hu Hai. Brat, so what if you're a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect? Grandpa who will trample you beneath my feet today. Let me show you what they mean by there's always someone better than you in the Holy Dragon secret realm. Hu Hai looked at Chu Fengmian without any excitement. He could already imagine the limelight after defeating Chu Fengmian. The spiritual energy in his body became even more violent. Tiger Killer Seal. His fist contained a violent force that was about to tear Chu Fengmian's body apart. Too weak. Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed with disdain. The moment the fist arrived, Chu Fengmian slowly made his move. He also threw a punch towards Hu Hai. The two fists collided. Hu Hai's fist was completely dispersed. At the same time, the power of Chu Fengmian's fist approached Hu Hai. What? Hu Hai did not expect such a sudden change. Before he could retreat, Chu Fengmian's fist was already aimed at his chest. Boom! The fist whistled and Hu Hai's body was sent flying for tens of meters before stopping. Chu Fengmian had held back his strength at the last moment. Otherwise, the punch just now would have been enough to kill Hu Hai. So strong? He defeated him with one punch? Hu Hai couldn't even withstand one punch. This power is close to that of a sixth tribulation true emperor. Shock flashed across the eyes of many disciples present. They were even more shocked than when Chu Fengmian had defeated Mu Xian. They didn't expect that Chu Fengmian could defeat Hu Hai with one punch even without the help of the Heart Devil. Especially that punch, Chu Fengmian didn't use any martial technique or spirit treasure. It was purely a punch of strength. In terms of strength, Chu Fengmian surpassed a 5 tribulation true emperor. Many people slowly suppressed their excitement. Sure enough, Chu Fengmian didn't only rely on the Heart Devil to become a disciple of the Holy Dragon sect. His own strength was also terrifying. Luo Kan wasn't surprised. He knew Chu Fengmian's strength very well. Defeating Hu Hai should have been a piece of cake. He could only say that Hu Hai was too naive. Chu Fengmian wasn't someone he could challenge even without the Heart Devil. Chapter 1323. Even now, Hu Hai had no regrets. On the other side of the phone, 200,000 contribution points wasn't a small number for him. He needed to accumulate them for a long time, but now, he lost to Chu Fengmian. However, there was no point in regretting. A loss was a loss. You lost. Chu Fengmian casually said while looking at Hu Hai who was slowly getting up. His expression didn't change at all as if it was just a casual matter. Chu Fengmian raised his hand, and the 200,000 contribution points that belonged to Hu Hai in the sky fell into Chu Fengmian's hand and were transferred into his identity plate. Chu Fengmian smirked while looking at the extra 200,000 contribution points. 200,000 contribution points was equivalent to 2 days of studying the progenitor statue. It looked like setting up the stage was indeed a quick way to earn money. Is there anyone else who wants to bet? Chu Fengmian swept his gaze across the crowd with disdain. In the eyes of the crowd, Chu Fengmian was provoking them. However, they knew that Chu Fengmian was at least a peak 5 tribulation true emperor. Unless one was a 6 tribulation true emperor, they would lose without a doubt. Even if it was a bet, 200,000 contribution points wasn't a small sum. No one was willing to waste it. "I'll go." In the middle of the crowd, a brawny man jumped out. This brawny man held a pair of giant hammers, which were a pair of heaven-grade spirit artifacts. As the twin hammers struck, a terrifying force swept through the surroundings, shaking some of the weaker warriors to the point that their bodies swayed. 100 Battles Hall, Taimo. The brawny man looked at Chu Fengmian and coldly said, "I have no enmity with you, but a newcomer like you dares to set up a stage. Aren't you looking down on the seniors of the Sacred Dragon's secret realm? I'll teach you a lesson and let you know that the Sacred Dragon's secret realm isn't as simple as you think." As Taimo spoke, he took out his identity badge and swiped out 200,000 contribution points. Then, he picked up his hammers and prepared himself for battle. "Teach me a lesson?" "Come then." Chu Fengmian casually said after hearing Taimo. "It's Taimo. Taimo might be below average among 6 tribulation true emperors, but his power is enough to look down on many geniuses. Chu Fengmian might not be Taimo's match." The 100 Battles Hall's Taimo was rather famous among the disciples of the Sacred Dragon Mystic Dimension. After all, his twin hammers were enough to kill a demon immortal. If Chu Fengmian's strength was only at this level, then Chu Fengmian would surely lose. "Your cultivation level is low, so I won't take advantage of you. I'll let you attack first." Taimo looked at Chu Fengmian and said coldly. It was indeed too easy for a 6th tribulation true emperor to deal with a puny eternal like Chu Fengmian. He would let Chu Fengmian make the first move and no one would say that he had an unfair advantage after defeating him. "No need. You go first. I'm afraid that if I go first, you won't have a chance to attack." Chu Fengmian looked at Taimo and said calmly, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. However, to Taimo, those words were extremely ear-piercing. He was simply provoking him. "Humph. Then you better take this." Taimo's arms bulged. Rumor has it that he once tore apart a sovereign's body with his bare hands. The twin hammers were also very heavy. Under Taimo's great strength, they were lifted up high and smashed towards Chu Fengmian. Taimo is going crazy. This madman's strength will increase exponentially when he's angry. What an unlucky brat, he actually chose to provoke Taimo. Many disciples gloated after seeing Taimo's appearance. Taimo was different from ordinary people. Once he went crazy, his strength would increase exponentially. Thus, very few people dared to provoke him. It was clear that Taimo had completely gone crazy after hearing Chu Fengmian's words. Ordinary 6th tribulation true emperors didn't want to fight him. Many people looked at Chu Fengmian, wanting to see how he would deal with the crazed Taimo. Rumble. The twin hammers weren't flexible in Taimo's hands. They aimed at Chu Fengmian's chest and directly smashed towards him. "Your strength isn't bad, but you're full of flaws." Chu Fengmian glanced at Taimo. With a thought, the battle dragon claw was formed. Aiming at the twin hammers, the battle dragon claw blasted through the air. He's going to take it head-on? Is Chu Fengmian crazy? Going head-on against Taimo's twin hammers? Many people thought that Chu Fengmian's brain was damaged after seeing this. Taimo's strongest point was his physical strength. He was at the bottom of 6 tribulation true emperors in terms of martial techniques, secret arts, and speed. However, his physical strength was among the top. Going head-on against Taimo was the stupidest thing to do. "Go head-on. Come then." When Taimo saw this, a confident look appeared on his face. Few 6 tribulation true emperors could match him in a head-on clash, let alone Chu Fengmian, who was only at the Eternal Realm. However, in the instant that the War Dragon's claw collided with the pair of iron hammers, the self-confidence on Taimo's face was instantly swept clean. Replacing it was an extremely shocked expression. Boom! The two forces collided in the air, and a figure was directly sent flying. Taimo's twin hammers were sent flying by the battle dragon claw. After landing on the ground, Taimo's arms were still trembling. Chu Fengmian finished the battle with just one move. So strong? Countless disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret dimension frowned as they looked at Taimo, who had fallen to the ground. Hu Hai's defeat wasn't a big deal since they had underestimated Chu Fengmian. However, Tai Mo was a sixth tribulation true emperor from the 100 Battles Hall. He could be considered a top disciple among the 8 halls and was at least in the top 100. He was a worthy genius. However, he was still defeated by Chu Fengmian in one move. Especially when Chu Fengmian defeated Tai Mo without using any technique. It was purely physical strength. Many disciples shuddered after recalling Chu Fengmian's words. He said that if Tai Mo didn't make the first move, he wouldn't have the chance to. The crowd had originally thought that Chu Fengmian was only trying to provoke Tai Mo. However, it would appear that Chu Fengmian was merely speaking the truth. After all, Tai Mo was still defeated by Chu Fengmian in one move. I've lost. Tai Mo slowly got up from the ground. His injuries weren't light, but there was no fear on his face. Chapter 13:24. I'm looking forward to it. Chu Fengmian said calmly. He was only here to earn contribution points. If Tai Mo wanted to challenge him again, Chu Fengmian would certainly welcome him. Tai Mo glanced at Chu Fengmian, picked up his twin hammers and left the square. Chu Fengmian pointed his finger and the 200,000 contribution points that belonged to Tai Mo fell into Chu Fengmian's hands and were transferred to his identity card. Just like that, he defeated another person. In less than 5 minutes, 2 disciples were defeated by Chu Fengmian. No one could even withstand a single move from Chu Fengmian. This Chu Fengmian is not simple. This person hid his strength well. Not only is Heart Devil, but his strength is also not terrifying. Is the Holy Dragon sect going to have another Yunzun? Looking at Chu Fengmian, many disciples thought of the terrifying existence of the Holy Dragon sect, the first senior brother of the sect, Yunzun. The number 1 emperor of all times, a half-step celestial being, the number 1 disciple of the Holy Dragon secret domain. Back then, Yunzun showed his brilliance and was an invincible existence. He defeated a 6th tribulation true emperor as a quasi-emperor. Looking at Chu Fengmian now, many people thought of Yunzun. Even now, Chu Fengmian was not a quasi-emperor and was only in the immortal realm, yet he could defeat a 6th tribulation true emperor. Compared to Yunzun, he was even more terrifying. He's still not comparable to Yunzun. At least, he's still far from that level. Some older disciples who had seen Yunzun in action shook their heads and said. Although Yunzun's legend had spread throughout the Holy Dragon secret domain, only those who had seen Yunzun would know how terrifying Yunzun was at that time. However, if this person didn't fall, he would certainly be a supreme overlord. Damn it! The Holy Dragon sect always produces such monstrous geniuses. Especially the disciples of the 6 Ultimates sect, each of them gritted their teeth in anger. Chu Fengmian killed Mu Xian in the life and death arena, completely slapping the 6 Ultimates sect's face. Originally, the 6 Ultimates sect had always been at odds with the Holy Dragon sect. Seeing Chu Fengmian so pleased with himself, many disciples were furious. Next, is there anyone else who wants to fight? Chu Fengmian's gaze swept across the crowd as he spoke calmly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chu Fengmian prepared to earn a large number of contribution points so that he could study the primogenitor's statue. Ever since he comprehended the first form, Chu Fengmian felt that his understanding of the Dragon Clan's martial techniques was completely different from before. If Chu Fengmian was given more time, he would be able to comprehend even more of the 9 forms of the primogenitor. A large amount of contribution points. Chu Fengmian's mind was filled with thoughts of how to earn contribution points. This gambling fight was considered the fastest way. But this time, after Chu Fengmian finished speaking, no one in the crowd chose to step forward. Chu Fengmian defeated Hu Hai and Tai Mo consecutively, proving his strength. At the very least, he wasn't a pushover. Anyone below the strength of a 6th tribulation true emperor would only be courting death if they challenged him. Moreover, Chu Fengmian didn't have an easy time defeating a 6th tribulation true emperor like Tai Mo. Only the disciples of the 4 sects had a chance to challenge Chu Fengmian. As for the disciples of the 8 halls,
Challenging Chu Fengmian was equivalent to giving away their contribution points. 5 minutes passed. Although the crowd was discussing spiritedly, no one dared to stand in front of Chu Fengmian. This made Chu Fengmian frown. The strength of the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm shouldn't be this weak. What? Aren't the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm all peerless geniuses? Is there no one who dares to step forward? Chu Fengmian swept his gaze across the crowd and calmly spoke. At the same time, he gave Luo Kang a meaningful glance. That's right, if no one dares, then don't cause trouble for our Holy Dragon's sect in the future. All of you should obediently avoid our disciples. Luo Kang added fuel to the fire and chimed in from the side. They were echoing each other and mocking the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. Sure enough, after hearing these two sentences, someone finally couldn't sit still. Humph, a newcomer who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How about I fight you? Whoosh! A figure stood out from the crowd and landed in front of the crowd. This person's aura was extremely violent, like a sea of tigers. It was unknown how many times stronger it was. It was a young man who seemed to be about the same age as Luo Kang. His body contained a violent saber intent. He walked out of the crowd and looked straight at Luo Kang. 6 Ultimate Sect, Huang Jian. He's the genius of the Huang clan. The Huang clan is also one of the great clans of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. The progenitor of the Huang clan, Huang Dao, was once one of the overlords of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. His Dao Comprehension Ground is also known as the Dao Comprehension Palace. It's said that Huang Jian was a figure of the same generation as Luo Kang. He almost fought for the opportunity to join the Holy Dragon sect but was defeated by Luo Kang in one move. After that, Luo Kang joined the 6 Ultimate Sect. Since that's the case, Huang Jian has also received the favor of a Grand Elder in the 6 Ultimate Sect. His strength has increased by leaps and bounds. Many people revealed an expression of watching a good show after seeing the appearance of this young man. Huang Jian. Luo Kang seemed to be a little surprised after seeing Huang Jian's appearance. His eyes flashed with dread. Among the disciples of the Holy Dragon's secret realm, Huang Jian was considered a genius and one of the most monstrous disciples in the 6 Ultimate Sect. Although the Holy Dragon sect was full of monstrous geniuses, it didn't mean that the other 3 sects didn't have monstrous geniuses. Huang Jian was one of them. I can fight anyone below Emperor Gu. Not bad, right? I'm a 5 Tribulation True Emperor. Do you dare to fight me? Huang Jian glanced at Chu Fengmian and then looked at Luo Kang. Of course, if you don't dare to, then let Luo Kang fight me. So arrogant. Many disciples exclaimed after hearing Huang Jian's words. After all, he was facing 2 disciples of the Holy Dragon sect. Nevertheless, Huang Jian did have the right to be arrogant. Although he was a 5 Tribulation True Emperor, his aura was many times stronger than the 6 Tribulation True Emperor. Taimo wouldn't be able to last 3 moves against Huang Jian. The disciples of the 4 sects were the true geniuses of the Holy Dragon's secret realm. The difference between the disciples of the 8 halls and the disciples of the 4 sects was like the difference between the clouds and the mud. The higher the cultivation, the greater the gap between the 2 sides. Will Chu Fengmian accept? If he doesn't, then he's admitting defeat. After all, he's the one who set up the stage. But Huang Jian's strength isn't something that Taimo's group can match. This brat is too arrogant. He can fight anyone below Emperor Gu. You should know that the difference between the disciples of the 4 sects and ordinary disciples is like heaven and earth. Chapter 1325. Seeing Huang Jian stand out, many disciples gloated over his misfortune. Chu Fengmian was only a newcomer, but he had already surpassed them, who had been training in the Sacred Dragon's secret domain for several years or even dozens of years. This made many disciples jealous. Now that someone was going to teach Chu Fengmian a lesson, they were all waiting to see Chu Fengmian's failure. After all, Huang Jian was completely different from Wu Hai and Taimo. They were not on the same level at all. Why wouldn't I dare?
If you want to fight, come. Chu Fengmian glanced at Huang Jian. He was not afraid at all. Finally, someone who could be considered a worthy opponent had come. It was time for Chu Fengmian to have a try at the comprehension he had gained from the primogenitor statue. Good, a newcomer dared to accept my challenge. You are indeed worthy of my challenge. Huang Jian looked at Chu Fengmian and praised him. However, his tone was as if he was teaching a junior a lesson. Courageous, not bad. However, if you are too arrogant, you will be taught a lesson sooner or later. You should know that there is always someone better than you. Is that so? Teach a lesson? You are not worthy of that. Chu Fengmian raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. Do you think you are the supreme elder? Teaching me a lesson here? We are all disciples of the sacred dragon's secret domain. Are you not afraid of biting your tongue? Arrogant. Huang Jian looked at Chu Fengmian with anger flashing in his eyes. I thought I would let you suffer a loss, but it seems that you are too arrogant. If I don't teach you a lesson, you will definitely cause trouble for the sacred dragon's secret domain in the future. Don't you like to bet? Very well, 1 million contribution points. Do you dare to bet? Huang Jian's face turned cold as he looked at Chu Fengmian. In his opinion, Chu Fengmian was only a junior in front of him. Chu Fengmian should accept his lesson, but he did not expect Chu Fengmian to dare to talk back. 1 million? Why wouldn't I dare? If you want to bet, let's bet big. 3 million contribution points. Hearing Huang Jian's words, Chu Fengmian laughed heartily. Then, Chu Fengmian's finger moved, and 2,800,000 contribution points flew out from his identity badge. This Huang Jian clearly wanted to take down Chu Fengmian's prestige. Unfortunately, Chu Fengmian wasn't a person that could be easily manipulated. Those who dared to take down Chu Fengmian's prestige would have to pay a price. Huang Jian didn't expect Chu Fengmian to suddenly raise the stakes. However, it wasn't difficult for him to take out 3 million contribution points. His strength far surpassed Mu Xian's. If Mu Xian could take out 3 million contribution points, he could do the same. Go! Huang Jian waved his finger, and 3 million contribution points flew out from his identity medallion and into the sky. Although he didn't say anything, Huang Jian's behavior already made everything clear. He wanted to bet with Chu Fengmian on this battle. 3 million contribution points. A bet? It's too terrifying. Seeing a total of 6 million contribution points in the sky, the hearts of many disciples in the crowd sped up. They had never seen so many contribution points in the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm. Even the direct disciples would rarely be able to take out that many contribution points. However, this Huang Jian before them was a core disciple. That was why he was so extravagant. As for why Chu Fengmian dared to make such a huge bet, they never imagined that Chu Fengmian would obtain a total of 3 million contribution points from Mu Xian's identity medallion. That was practically all of it. Could it be that this person still has some sort of trump card? Some disciples looked at Chu Fengmian and couldn't help but feel suspicious. Not to mention Chu Fengmian, even Luo Kang, who stood beside Chu Fengmian, might not necessarily be able to win against Huang Jian. At most, it would be a 50-50 chance, let alone Chu Fengmian. No matter how many trump cards he has, it's impossible for him to be a match for Huang Jian. Huang Jian is ranked in the top 100 of the core disciples. How could he possibly lose to a newcomer? Another disciple sneered and said, "He's just a little guy. He's too arrogant." Indeed. If he doesn't suffer a little, he'll really think that there are no more geniuses in the Holy Dragon Mystery Realm. While the crowd was discussing, their eyes were locked onto Chu Fengmian and Huang Jian. A bet of 6 million contribution points was considered a huge bet even in the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm. Senior brother, be careful. Huang Jian's strength is not inferior to mine. Luo Kang, who was beside Chu Fengmian, reminded him softly. Luo Kang wasn't worried about other people challenging him, but Huang Jian's strength was not inferior to his. Although Chu Fengmian had defeated him previously, he didn't say that he could completely defeat him.
Facing this Huang Jian was also somewhat dangerous. It's all right. Chu Fengmian only smiled at Luo Kang's worry. After comprehending the primogenitor statue, Chu Fengmian's Dragon Clan martial skills were completely different from before. If Chu Fengmian were to fight with Luo Kang again, he was confident that he would be able to defeat him within 10 moves. Chu Fengmian looked at Huang Jian. Make your move. Chu Fengmian saw Huang Jian taking out his contribution points and didn't bother to say anything else. At the same time, the battle dragon bloodline in his body was slowly activated. A dragon's might was emitted from Chu Fengmian's body. Dragon Clan bloodline? It's nothing. Huang Jian shot a glance at Chu Fengmian. The aura around his body became violent. He moved his palm and a long saber suddenly appeared. The moment the long saber appeared, a dazzling saber light swept towards Chu Fengmian. I have a saber technique called dragon slaying. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. Whoosh! This ray of blade energy was aimed at Chu Fengmian's chest. As the yellow slip's spirit energy surged, the moment it got close to Chu Fengmian, the ray of blade energy turned blood red. Its sharpness increased by 10 times as it slashed toward Chu Fengmian's chest. Dragon slaying saber technique? Chu Fengmian's eyes flashed. The creator of this saber technique probably had a blood feud with the Dragon Clan. That was why he created a saber technique to deal with the Dragon Clan. It seemed that the saber technique was only violent, but Chu Fengmian could feel that his bloodline power was suppressed. It should be the effect of the dragon-slaying saber technique. However, this kind of suppression was child's play for Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian's bloodline was the noble battle dragon bloodline. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had the bloodline of the primogenitor, Jianwang. This so-called dragon-slaying saber technique was nothing to Chu Fengmian. Roar! Chu Fengmian let out a draconic roar. Suddenly, the suppression on Chu Fengmian's bloodline was broken. Battle Dragon Claw. Chapter 1326. Boom! With a loud explosion, the saber gleam was shattered by the battle dragon's claw. That saber gleam only left a white mark on the battle dragon's claw. Such a hard dragon claw. Huang Jian's expression turned serious after seeing his saber leaving only a white mark on the dragon's claw. His attack wasn't a sure kill move, but an ordinary Six Tribulation True Emperor wouldn't be able to block it easily. It seemed that Chu Fengmian was much stronger than he imagined. However, he wasn't confident in himself. This attack was only a test. You should be proud of yourself for being able to block 30% of my attack. Your future achievements won't necessarily be below mine. However, I will defeat you today and leave an indelible mark on your Dao heart so that you will forever be below me. Huang Jian's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Chu Fengmian. He only wanted to teach Chu Fengmian a lesson, but Chu Fengmian's strength exceeded his expectations. Chu Fengmian was only at the Eternal Realm right now, but he was already comparable to a Six Tribulation True Emperor. He was much more devilish than Luo Kang. Today, he didn't only want to teach Chu Fengmian a lesson but also thoroughly defeat him and destroy his Dao heart so that Chu Fengmian wouldn't be able to continue growing smoothly. Kill! Huang Jian shouted the word kill. The word kill fused into the blade in his hand. A terrifying killing intent was released, making people feel a bone-chilling coldness. Huang Jian's eyes turned blood red. Some of the weaker disciples did not even dare to look at them. Heart destruction. Huang Jian roared and slashed at Chu Fengmian with the long saber in his hand. The blades split into tens of thousands of blades in the air, and each of them was real. They slashed toward Chu Fengmian from all directions. In the blink of an eye, Chu Fengmian was surrounded by tens of thousands of blades. At the same time, the most terrifying thing about the blade was not its sharpness, but its killing intent. Chu Fengmian was trapped in the heart of the blade, and the killing intent alone was enough to affect the mind and Dao heart of anyone who saw it. You want to break my Dao heart? So little killing intent? Chu Fengmian felt the erosion of the killing intent, and the corner of his mouth showed a bit of disdain. If it were an ordinary genius of the sacred dragon mystic realm,
they might have been affected by the killing intent. However, Chu Fengmian had started from the very bottom and had climbed his way up. Chu Fengmian had experienced many life and death battles, and had a firm Dao heart from his second life. In Chu Fengmian's eyes, this killing intent was like child's play. "All of you, break!" Chu Fengmian snorted coldly. Dragon roars resounded throughout the world. Jianwang 8 tones. The dragon roars seemed to transform into a horde of dragons that soared into the sky, shattering the surrounding blood qi. Not even the slightest bit of killing intent could get close to Chu Fengmian. Bang! The dragons rose, and the sabers that filled the sky were all annihilated. So strong? Is this Chu Fengmian's strength? Isn't that too terrifying? Immortal realm? Is this the strength of an immortal? Looking at the sabers that filled the sky being shattered in front of the dragon roars, many disciples on the spectators' stand were dumbfounded. They knew Huang Jian's strength. He was definitely a famous genius in the sacred dragon mystic realm, and an absolute powerhouse among the 6 tribulation true emperors. Originally, they thought that the battle between Chu Fengmian and Huang Jian would have no suspense, and Chu Fengmian would definitely lose. Who would have thought that the battle would be so intense? Huang Jian's attacks couldn't really hurt Chu Fengmian, and they were all countered by Chu Fengmian. This is just the immortal realm. If he becomes a quasi-emperor in the future, or even an emperor, his strength will definitely skyrocket. How terrifying will he be at that time? Many disciples present were already in the emperor realm. They also knew that once a quasi-emperor stepped into the emperor realm, their strength would skyrocket by at least 10 times. Quasi-emperor was actually an unimportant realm. The more one accumulated in the quasi-emperor realm, the more likely they would become a 4 tribulation true emperor or even a 5 tribulation true emperor. Of course, among the countless geniuses, the most monstrous one was Yunzun. After stepping into the emperor realm, he directly became an 8 tribulation emperor Gu. Now, Chu Fengmian was only in the immortal realm, but his strength was comparable to a 6 tribulation true emperor. Once he stepped into the emperor realm in the future, it was possible for him to become an emperor Gu. Even in history, there were very few geniuses who could become an emperor Gu. Moreover, such geniuses would all become great figures recorded in the ancient books in the future. It was even possible for them to become a heavenly being. How can this brat be so strong? Not only the spectators, but Huang Jian also clearly knew Chu Fengmian's strength after facing him head-on. His attacks seemed to be easily neutralized by Chu Fengmian. Now, even he couldn't see through Chu Fengmian's strength. This is too terrifying. If this person grows up, he will definitely become the second Yunzun. I can't let him grow up. A murderous intent flashed in Huang Jian's eyes. He seemed to have made up his mind. He was also a genius in the sacred dragon mystery domain. Of course, he didn't want to see someone stepping on him in the future. Nirvana. Huang Jian's saber skill suddenly changed. If the previous saber skill was to kill, then the current saber skill was to destroy. It was as if the saber skill was going to destroy everything in the world. The pitch-black saber seemed to be able to destroy everything in the world. Huang Jian stood in the heart of destruction, holding the long saber in his hand and slashing towards Chu Fengmian in an instant. Nirvana saber skill. Huang Jian is going to use his killer move. Oh no! Luo Kang's face changed when he saw the Nirvana saber skill. He also knew that this move was powerful. This was Huang Jian's most terrifying killer move. Once he used it, it would put a huge burden on his body. It was a move that would harm his own body. Senior brother, be careful. Before Luo Kang could finish speaking, the scene in front of him had already exceeded his expectations. When Chu Fengmian saw the pitch-black saber coming towards him, the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. In an instant, primogenitor Tianlong's bloodline erupted and he pointed his finger forward. First move. As he casually pointed his finger forward, a group of dragons roared. Thousands of dragon race martial skills were displayed at this moment. The moment his finger touched the pitch-black blade, the pitch-black blade filled with the aura of destruction shattered on the spot. Chapter 1327. It was the first move of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Chu Fengmian had comprehended this peerless move in front of the primogenitor's statue for 14 days. Originally, Chu Fengmian did not plan to use it. However, Huang Jian was planning to kill him. Chu Fengmian decided to use him as a test. Not only did the first move shatter Huang Jian's saber, but it also sent him flying dozens of miles away. Huang Jian stopped and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale and he fainted. His body was shattered by Chu Fengmian's move. It would take a few months for him to recover. The square was completely silent. Seeing where Huang Jian had fallen, a few disciples of the 6 Ultimate Sect hurriedly ran over and picked him up. However, Huang Jian had already fainted. Huang Jian's body was completely shattered. His body was already crippled. It would take a few months to regenerate a new body. The regenerated body would not be as powerful as Huang Jian's current body. His strength would be reduced by at least 20 to 30%. For a genius with a boundless future, this was simply a blow to the head. Huang Jian was actually defeated. How could Huang Jian be defeated? He was defeated in one move? What kind of move was that? Even Huang Jian's Nirvana blade technique was shattered? Everyone was silent for a long time when they saw this scene. When they saw that Huang Jian was really defeated by Chu Fengmian and fainted, they seemed to have woken up from a dream. To them, everything that had happened before their eyes was simply like a dream. They would never have thought that Huang Jian would be defeated by Chu Fengmian. To them, this was something that was simply impossible. Even Luo Kang had not expected this to happen. I didn't expect Senior Brother to still be hiding his strength. If I had known this earlier, Senior Brother would have used this move in the Holy Dragon Temple. One move was enough to defeat me. Luo Kang quickly recovered from his shock and said with a smile. The stronger Chu Fengmian was, the better it was for the Holy Dragon Sect. With Yunzun, the Holy Dragon Sect could firmly occupy the first place among the 4 sects in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. However, as Yunzun had not appeared in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension for a long time, the other 3 sects all had thoughts of provoking the Holy Dragon Sect, especially the 6 Ultimate Sect. If there was another eternal genius, the Holy Dragon Sect's position would become unstable. No one would dare to challenge them. This is the comprehension of the primogenitor's statue. Chu Fengmian didn't hide it. He glanced at Luo Kang and said directly, Luo Kang Zun's body. He was to Chu Fengmian was not clear of the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. And wasn't clear of the rules. Before he possessed sufficient strength, Chu Fengmian had no intention of challenging the rules of the entire Holy Dragon Mystery Plane. However, there was one thing that Chu Fengmian was certain of. The Holy Dragon Mystery Dimension was the same as other places. It was a place where strength was the most important. For example, the Life and Death Ring had a rule that no one was allowed to interfere. However, ancient Emperor Fanguang still wanted to save Mu Xian. This meant that one's strength had to be above the rules. Of course, Chu Fengmian didn't have enough strength right now, so it was better to be careful. Trouble? There's no trouble at all. It's that brat Huang Jian who's courting death. Senior Brother crippling his physical body is already enough. Luo Kang glanced at Huang Jian and said. He knew what Huang Jian was planning when he used the Nirvana blade technique. It was not as simple as crippling Chu Fengmian's body. He was planning to kill Chu Fengmian. After all, Huang Jian was a core disciple. He was a genius of the 6 Ultimate Sect. Even if he killed Chu Fengmian and deliberately violated the sect rules, he would not die. At most, he would be punished. If he killed Chu Fengmian, he would definitely benefit from the punishment. Chu Fengmian was already merciful by crippling his body. It's not easy to make a move in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. Chu Fengmian said calmly. However, Luo Kang could sense a hint of murderous intent in his words. Chu Fengmian was not a kind person. From the moment Huang Jian was about to kill, Chu Fengmian determined that Huang Jian was a dead man. It was just that it was not easy for Chu Fengmian to make a move in the Holy Dragon Secret Dimension. That's right. We'll kill him after he leaves the Sacred Dragon Secret Domain. Luo Kang was not surprised by Chu Fengmian's attitude. Every cultivator who had stepped into this realm had experienced countless battles of life and death. Their hands were stained with blood. If the person who fought with Huang Jian was Luo Kang would have killed him too. Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang's conversation was clear and straightforward. They didn't hide anything. Everyone present heard it. Ruthless. This person is ruthless enough. We can't provoke him. That's right. We can't provoke him if we don't have the confidence. Many disciples present listed Chu Fengmian as someone they could not provoke. No one dared to provoke Chu Fengmian anymore. This was strength. Among cultivators, only strength could be respected. Chu Fengmian raised his head and saw a total of 6 million contribution points. He waved his hand and all the contribution points fell into his identity card. In this way, Chu Fengmian's identity card had more than 6 million contribution points. It was enough for Chu Fengmian to comprehend the primogenitor statue for another 2 months. 2 months should be enough for Chu Fengmian to comprehend the first move of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. He might even have the chance to comprehend the second move. Let's go, Chu Fengmian said to Luo Kang beside him. Now that Chu Fengmian had defeated Huang Jian, the disciples in the square looked at Chu Fengmian with fear. No one thought that Chu Fengmian was a pushover anymore. However, Chu Fengmian had already obtained 3 million contribution points from the battle with Huang Jian. It was enough for the time being. No one would dare to provoke Chu Fengmian in the near future. All right. Luo Kang nodded. The two turned into a ray of light and soared into the sky, leaving the square. The Holy Dragon sect is going to have another monster. This person has already surpassed Luo Kang. It seems that he might be the next Yunzun in the future. Looking at the back of Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang, many disciples whispered. The next Yunzun won't be easy to come out. It is said that the Sacred Academy sect has always wanted to fight for the position of the leader of the 4 sections. They will never let Chu Fengmian become the next Yunzun. That's right. He hasn't matured yet. He is still a genius, not an expert. This kid killed Mu Xian and destroyed Huang Jian's body. The 6 Ultimates sect won't let him go. Let's wait and see. The Holy Dragon Secret Domain has been quiet for so long. Many hidden geniuses might come out because of this. Chapter 1328. Senior brother, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Even Huang Jian couldn't withstand a single move from you. Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang were walking together in the Sacred Dragon Secret Domain. Luo Kang was still a little surprised when he recalled how Chu Fengmian defeated Huang Jian in a single move. Huang Jian was a newcomer in the same batch as him. Although his strength wasn't as good as his, it wouldn't be easy for Luo Kang to defeat Huang Jian. But now, Huang Jian was defeated by Chu Fengmian in a single move. Luo Kang looked at Chu Fengmian and said, with senior brother's strength, you should be able to rank in the top 500 of the All-Heaven Genius ranking. All-Heaven Genius ranking? Chu Fengmian said in a strange tone. It was the first time Chu Fengmian heard of this name. Senior brother, you don't know? Oh, the All-Heaven Starfield is actually a starfield that belongs to our Sacred Dragon Secret Domain. For example, the Pure Forest Mountain, Vast Ocean City, and the Avalon of 5 Elements are all part of the All-Heaven Starfield. The All-Heaven Genius ranking is a list that ranks all the martial artists and demon gods below Emperor Gu. Almost all the top 100 of the All-Heaven Genius ranking have the strength to contend with Emperor Gu. The top 10 of the All-Heaven Genius ranking are all super monstrous geniuses that have defeated Emperor Gu. Luo Kang explained. For example, Huang Jian, who was defeated by senior brother, is ranked around 900 on the All-Heaven Genius ranking. Huang Jian's strength is around 900. Chu Fengmian was a little surprised when he heard this. Although Huang Jian was a 5 tribulation true emperor, he was considered an expert below Emperor Gu that Chu Fengmian had encountered. With his strength, he was only around 900. It seemed like the people on the All-Heaven Genius ranking were all geniuses among geniuses. What's your rank on the All-Heaven Genius ranking? Chu Fengmian asked Luo Kang. Luo Kang's strength should still be around Huang Jian's. When Chu Fengmian fought with Luo Kang, he could see that Luo Kang was still hiding some strength. If Luo Kang fought with Huang Jian, Luo Kang should be stronger. My ranking isn't high, and I'm ranked at the 570th position on the All-Heaven Genius rankings. If my strength advances a step further, it ought to not be a problem for me to enter the top 500. Luo Kang said with a smile. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had reached 570 since he was a 3 tribulation true emperor. After all, anyone who wasn't Emperor Gu was qualified to be on the list. Luo Kang was competing against a group of 6 tribulation true emperors. Oh? 570. That Huang Jian was only around 900. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but take a look at Luo Kang. His junior brother had hidden himself quite well. Chu Fengmian could only vaguely feel that Luo Kang's strength should be in the yellow bamboo slips, but there was actually a difference of more than 300 places. This was enough to prove that Luo Kang's strength should still be far above Huang Jianji's. With the strength I just displayed, I can only enter the top 500. Chu Fengmian's eyes lit up. He had used the first form of the primogenitor when he had killed Huang Jian. Luo Kang saw it, which was why he said that Chu Fengmian could enter the top 500. It also meant that the move just now might not be effective against someone at the top of the All-Heaven Genius rankings. There were indeed countless geniuses in the All-Heaven Star Field. However, the size of the All-Heaven Star Field was simply beyond Chu Fengmian's imagination. Just the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm alone had hundreds of continents under its command. The remaining 3 major forces, Pure Linshan, Vast Ocean Capital, and Avalon of 5 Elements, weren't inferior to the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm. Not to mention, there were many smaller forces that added up to thousands of continents in the All-Heaven Star Field. Naturally, the number of geniuses born from them was uncountable. Who's at the top of the All-Heaven Genius rankings right now? Chu Fengmian looked at Luo Kang and asked. Under such intense competition, whoever could seize the top spot on the All-Heaven Genius rankings would definitely be a peerless genius that was hard to come by in 10,000 years. The first place of the Great Luo Genius ranking was originally our Holy Dragon sect's 3rd senior sister, Qing Meng. However, she made a breakthrough a year ago and officially became an ancient emperor, so she was removed from the Great Luo Genius ranking. The current first place of the Great Luo Genius ranking is Xian Tianlin of the Avalon of 5 Elements. Xian Tianlin? Chu Fengmian silently remembered this name. The top spot of the All-Heaven Genius rankings was definitely a super genius. Are there any disciples of the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm in the top 10? Chu Fengmian asked again. Yes, the second place of the All-Heaven Genius rankings is the young sect master of the Sacred Academy sect, Wu Dao. The remaining 2 are disciples of the 5 Spirits sect, young master Rian and Zhu Yefan of the 6 Ultimates sect. They are ranked 5th and 7th respectively. Luo Kang said. Wu Dao, young master Rian, and Zhu Yefan are considered the 3 most outstanding disciples of the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm this year. Of course, before 3rd senior sister's breakthrough, they were defeated by her. The Sacred Dragon Secret Realm occupied 3 of the top 10 spots on the All-Heaven Genius rankings. Wu Dao, young master Rian, and Zhu Yefan. Chu Fengmian remembered their names. If Chu Fengmian wanted to dominate the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm, he would definitely trample all 3 of them under his feet. With senior brother's aptitude, as long as you step into the Emperor realm, you will at least be a 6 tribulation true emperor. At that time, it won't be impossible for you to contend with the 3 of them. Luo Kang looked at Chu Fengmian and said with a smile. He was not optimistic about Chu Fengmian, especially when Chu Fengmian's strength was getting stronger and stronger. It was beyond his imagination. Even he couldn't see through this new senior brother in front of him. Chu Fengmian just smiled and did not answer. Stepping into the Emperor realm was due to Chu Fengmian's accumulation and countless encounters. Once Chu Fengmian truly stepped into the Emperor realm, his strength would definitely skyrocket. Chu Fengmian's current strength could be considered as a 6th tribulation true emperor. Once he stepped into the Emperor realm, it would not be a problem for him to reach the peak of the 6th tribulation true emperor realm. Originally, Chu Fengmian wanted to step into the Emperor realm as soon as possible. But after coming to the Sacred Dragon secret realm, Chu Fengmian understood how important accumulation in the quasi-emperor realm was. In particular, there was an ancient record that once a quasi-emperor stepped into the Emperor realm, he would directly become Emperor Gu and obtain great benefits. Such geniuses who stepped into the Emperor Gu were called Peerless Emperor Gu. They were much stronger than ordinary Emperor Gu. In history, those who surpassed the Emperor realm and stepped into the Heaven realm were mostly Peerless Emperor Gu. Chu Fengmian also had such a plan, so he was not in a hurry to break through now. He would first accumulate strength. Senior brother has earned a lot of contribution points this time. I'm afraid that I can go to the contribution hall and exchange them for many good things. What does senior brother plan to exchange for? Chapter 1329. This time, Chu Fengmian had earned over 6 million contribution points. It was definitely a huge sum that could be used to purchase countless items to increase his strength. Chu Fengmian's current strength was already so powerful. If he used the 6 million contribution points to exchange for various items, his strength would increase even further. The Sacred Dragon Mystery Domain not only ruled over hundreds of continents, but also countless extraterritorial lands. These extraterritorial lands were enough to give birth to countless items. Therefore, in the Sacred Dragon Mystery Domain, as long as one had enough contribution points, one could exchange for many treasures that were difficult to obtain outside. If Chu Fengmian exchanged 6 million contribution points for various items, it would not be a problem for him to increase his strength by 10 to 20%. However, Chu Fengmian did not plan to exchange the contribution points for various items. I plan to comprehend the primogenitor statue. Chu Fengmian replied. Although various items could increase Chu Fengmian's strength, they were after all external items. If he were to comprehend the primogenitor statue, he would be able to comprehend the 9 moves of primogenitor. Comprehending the 9 moves of primogenitor would allow Chu Fengmian to unleash the power of his Dragon Clan bloodline to the extreme. This would be much more useful than buying some heavenly items. Furthermore, it was not impossible to obtain various items outside by using some methods. However, the primogenitor statue could not be found outside of the Sacred Dragon Mystery Domain. Senior brother, you plan to comprehend the primogenitor statue again? Luo Kang was somewhat surprised to hear Chu Fengmian's words. The Tao Enlightenment grounds and the Tao Enlightenment Palace were mostly used by many martial artists. When they had gained some enlightenment, they would go back to meditate. After all, it would cost a large amount of contribution points to comprehend the primogenitor statue for every day. It was rare to see someone comprehend the primogenitor statue for 10 days straight like Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian had just exited the Tao Comprehension Hall, yet he was planning to comprehend the primogenitor statue again. This was indeed unexpected to Luo Kang. In that case, I won't be able to accompany senior brother. I need to go to the contribution hall to purchase some items. Luo Kang said. Alright, let's part ways here. The two of them separated and went to different places. This wasn't the first time Chu Fengmian had come to the Tao Enlightenment Hall. He was familiar with the place and soon arrived in front of the stone tablet. This time, Chu Fengmian only glanced at the stone tablet and didn't try to comprehend it. He stepped into the teleportation formation. The scene around Chu Fengmian continued to flicker. Soon, the valley was reflected in Chu Fengmian's eyes. Are you here to meditate again? It was still the same old man. He was sitting in front of the valley, half asleep and half awake. When he sensed someone approaching, he slowly woke up and looked over. Oh? It's you again, little fellow? When the old man saw that it was Chu Fengmian, he said in a strange tone, "You're here to meditate again?" Chu Fengmian had just left the valley a few hours ago, and now he had actually returned, which made him feel quite strange. For example, the disciples who studied the primogenitor statue would only come once every few years. After all, it was not easy for them to assimilate what they had comprehended. Chu Fengmian's continuous meditation was truly an anomaly. "Yes," Chu Fengmian replied. Other people needed to assimilate what they had comprehended, but Chu Fengmian didn't need to do so. Chu Fengmian himself had the pure Dragon Clan bloodline. He wasn't actually comprehending the martial technique, but perfecting it. The 9 forms of the primogenitor had always been hidden in the Dragon Clan's bloodline. According to the records, many experts of the Dragon Clan could comprehend it naturally from their bloodline. As for Chu Fengmian, he wasn't a pure Dragon Clan member, so he had to rely on the primogenitor statue to comprehend it. "How long are you going to meditate?" When the elder heard Chu Fengmian's answer, he sized him up and didn't ask any further. He was only responsible for guarding the primogenitor statue. As for the other matters, it wasn't his responsibility. "This time, I plan to meditate for 2 months." Chu Fengmian walked to the elder and took out 6 million contribution points from his identity card and placed it in front of the elder. "Oh? You're quite valuable." Astonishment flashed through the elder's eyes when he saw the 6 million contribution points. He also knew that Chu Fengmian was only a newcomer. It wasn't easy for a newcomer to take out 100,000 contribution points, but Chu Fengmian could easily take out several million contribution points. "This jade talisman will allow you to stay in the valley for 2 months. This isn't your first time here, so you should know the rules." The elder took out a jade talisman and handed it to Chu Fengmian. "Little guy, remember not to bite off more than you can chew." After taking a glance at Chu Fengmian, the elder couldn't help but remind him. The way he saw it, Chu Fengmian must be planning to comprehend a large amount of martial techniques. The martial techniques comprehended from the primogenitor statue were practically the most profound martial techniques in the Holy Dragon Mystery realm. However, the more martial techniques one comprehended, the more difficult it would be to master them. Thus, blindly comprehending more martial techniques wasn't the right path. "Thank you for your reminder, elder." Chu Fengmian took the jade talisman and nodded his head, then stepped into the valley. Chu Fengmian's situation was different from ordinary people. What Chu Fengmian wanted to comprehend was not the Dragon Clan's martial techniques, but the 9 moves of the primogenitor. Once he comprehended the 9 moves of the primogenitor, he would be able to master all of the Dragon Clan's martial techniques. Of course, there wouldn't be a problem of biting off more than he could chew. However, Chu Fengmian didn't plan to reveal the 9 moves of the primogenitor. The 9 moves of the primogenitor were something that all experts of the Dragon Clan yearned for even in their dreams. Chu Fengmian didn't want to be chased by a group of Dragon Clan members. "This little guy is too rash." Looking at Chu Fengmian's departing figure, the elder shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'm not from the Holy Dragon sect. Why should I care so much? The Holy Dragon sect's inheritance has been broken for thousands of years. I don't know when someone will be able to continue it." As the elder muttered to himself, disappointment flashed through his eyes. He slowly closed his eyes, laid on the chair and continued to sleep. On the other side, Chu Fengmian held the jade talisman and came to the valley. This time, the valley was as quiet as the last time Chu Fengmian came. Although the foundation of the Holy Dragon Mystery realm was the primogenitor Jianwang statue, there weren't many people who came to comprehend it. The price of 100,000 contribution points per day was enough to drive away most of the disciples in the Holy Dragon Mystery realm. Chapter 1330. Chu Fengmian sat down in front of the statue and closed his eyes. Countless images appeared in Chu Fengmian's mind. The most shocking one was the image of the primogenitor Sky Dragon fighting against countless experts alone. Each of these experts had the ability to tear continents apart. In the Starry Sea, continents were torn apart by their battles. Celestials, Only celestials can tear continents apart. Chu Fengmian was shaken to the core as he watched the continents being torn apart. Such a scene had only appeared in ancient texts. Seeing it with his own eyes and recalling the ancient texts, it was even more terrifying. These celestials were besieging the colossal progenitor Jianwang. Countless profound martial techniques bombarded Tianlong's body, but they couldn't harm Jianwang in the slightest. On the contrary, the attacks seemed to have enraged progenitor Jianwang. He let out a draconic roar and struck out with his claw. When progenitor Jianwang raged, the world turned into a sea of blood. Tianlong's wrath caused countless celestials to explode in the air. Blood flowed like a sea. Tens of thousands of experts were reduced to bones. The 9 forms of the progenitor. That's the 9 forms of the progenitor. Chu Fengmian's gaze was fixed on Tianlong's body. The 9 forms of the progenitor were what Tianwang had used to kill countless celestials. The first form. Chu Fengmian suddenly opened his eyes and took a step forward, circulating all of his bloodline power. Boom! Under this move, the space in front of him was shattered and turned into nothingness. No. Chu Fengmian shook his head. The first move that he executed was simply the difference between heaven and earth when compared to the one that the ancestor Sky Dragon executed in the scene earlier. Chu Fengmian closed his eyes and carefully thought about the first move that the ancestral Sky Dragon had just used. The first form. Bang! Tianlong's bloodline in Chu Fengmian's body surged and roared like a dragon. After using the first form twice in a row, Chu Fengmian felt like he was about to faint. His bloodline power was greatly depleted. Chu Fengmian sat on the ground and rested. After 2 hours, he closed his eyes and continued to study the statue. Comprehend, display, rest, and comprehend. And so on. Every day, Chu Fengmian spent his days in front of the statue. Chu Fengmian didn't do anything else for a full 20 days. Now, the first style he displayed was already close to the stage of great success. Compared to the time when he fought with Huang Jian, the power of this move had increased by 1-fold. Not only was the first style even more mysterious, but the bloodline power in Chu Fengmian's body had also become a lot stronger after he used it again and again. Chu Fengmian's bloodline power grew stronger and stronger as time and time again overdrew to recover his bloodline power. I have 40 days to try comprehending the second form. Chu Fengmian calculated. Chu Fengmian had finally comprehended the first form to greater mastery. Next, he couldn't just rely on comprehension to improve. He would have to go through life and death battles. During the process of comprehending the first form, Chu Fengmian gradually comprehended the second form. Tianlong's first form was the claw attack, the most powerful claw technique. The second form was very similar to the first form. But in terms of power, it was 9 times stronger than the first form. Chu Fengmian saw the statue use the second form in the image he had comprehended. With one move, thousands of experts were destroyed and turned into a bloody mist. The 9 forms of the primogenitor were much more terrifying than the previous one. Chu Fengmian suddenly stepped forward and used the second form according to his comprehension. Bang! Chu Fengmian's claw was enough to tear the world apart. The restrictions in the valley were shaken by the power of the claw. Although it was his first time using it, the power of the second form was much stronger than the first form. Bang! However, countless cracks appeared on Chu Fengmian's body the moment he unleashed the second move. The power of his bloodline was completely drained. Chu Fengmian's body had merged with the bronze heavenly demon skeleton and reached the half-step immortal level. But when Chu Fengmian used the second form, his body couldn't withstand it. Countless cracks appeared on his body. His physical body had already reached its limit. Only then was he able to barely execute the second move. If Chu Fengmian's body was slightly weaker, the second move would have been enough to blow up Chu Fengmian's body and kill him on the spot. As expected, the 9 moves of the primogenitor are not something that can be executed by humans. My physical body and the primogenitor Sky Dragon's blood essence are only sufficient to execute the first move. I barely managed to execute the second move, but I almost couldn't withstand it. Chu Fengmian looked at his cracked body and sat on the ground. He slowly operated his power to recover. The cracks on his body were gradually mended. Half-step immoral true body isn't a true immoral true body after all. Chu Fengmian sighed. The immoral true body was said to be perfect and unbreakable. Although Chu Fengmian looked like an immoral true body, it wasn't. Under the tremendous power, Chu Fengmian's body would still shatter. After a few hours, the cracks on Chu Fengmian's body were completely healed. His recovered body seemed to be even tougher than before. The second form. Chu Fengmian's eyes were cold. He took a step forward and used the second form. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Chu Fengmian tried to use the second form again and again. Now, every time he used it, his body would be torn apart and rebuilt. Every time he rebuilt his body, it would be tougher. During this time, Chu Fengmian's body had undergone earth-shattering changes. At the same time, Chu Fengmian had mastered the second form of the primogenitor. Using it again and again, Chu Fengmian's second form became stronger and stronger. Chu Fengmian's current strength wasn't enough to use the second form. Every time he used it, he had to pay a great price. However, as long as Chu Fengmian's strength took another step forward and reached the quasi-emperor realm, or even the emperor realm, his strength would undergo an earth-shattering change. At that time, he would be able to display the second move. It's almost time. Chu Fengmian opened his eyes again and muttered to himself. He slowly stood up. The jade talisman on Chu Fengmian's body lost its last bit of power and shattered. Chapter 1331. 60 days of comprehension had ended. This time, Chu Fengmian didn't just fully comprehend the first style of progenitor, he also comprehended the second style. This could be considered a great harvest. Chu Fengmian's comprehension was meaningless. The second move of primogenitor was Chu Fengmian's limit. His physical body couldn't even withstand the second move, let alone the third move. The third move of primogenitor was 9 times more powerful than the second move. With Chu Fengmian's current strength, he would only be seeking his own death if he forced himself to use it. It was time to increase his strength. Chu Fengmian already had thoughts of leaving the Sacred Dragon's secret domain. It was too comfortable in the Sacred Dragon's secret domain. If one wanted to become an expert and make a breakthrough, one had to go through many battles. It was impossible to become an expert in a greenhouse. The Sacred Dragon's secret domain controlled many extraterritorial lands. These extraterritorial lands were the best places to train. Chu Fengmian was prepared to choose an extraterritorial land to train. Chu Fengmian left the valley. What surprised him was that the old man was not there. "Let's go." Chu Fengmian glanced at him and stepped out of the transfer formation. After leaving the Enlightenment Palace, Chu Fengmian activated a ray of light and returned to the Sacred Dragon Sect. In an open space on the mountainside of the Sacred Dragon Sect, Chu Fengmian moved his mind and a palace flew out from his hand. Sword Sovereign Palace. The Sword Sovereign Palace's spirit, the Cloud Sword, was still asleep. However, the Sword Sovereign Palace had already recognized Chu Fengmian as its master. Even if the Cloud Sword was not there, Chu Fengmian could still activate it. The Sword Sovereign Palace landed on the empty space on the mountainside. From now on, it would be Chu Fengmian's cave residence. Chu Fengmian came to the Sword Sovereign Palace and set up a few restrictions to announce that it had an owner. The entire mountain of the Sacred Dragon Sect had countless restrictions and arrays. The Sword Sovereign Palace was no longer safe. There was no need for Chu Fengmian to waste his time and effort to set up a large number of restrictions and arrays. Senior brother. Chu Fengmian had just finished setting up the Sword Sovereign Palace when a ray of light flew over. It was Luo Kang. They had not seen each other for 2 months. Luo Kang's aura was faintly stronger than before. After meeting Chu Fengmian, Luo Kang also felt the pressure. He had cultivated hard in the past 2 months and become stronger. The Immortal Burial Continent has recently opened. Originally, seeing that senior brother was still comprehending, I wanted to go alone. I didn't expect senior brother to come out of seclusion. If I go with senior brother, our chances of fighting for the treasures will be much greater. Luokan said excitedly as he entered the Sword Emperor Palace. The Celestial Continent? What is that place? Chu Fengmian puzzled. Was a place. A places was celestial. Was Fengmian celestial it? The Celestial Burial Continent is a very famous extraterritorial land in our Daluo star field. Normally, it is hidden in spatial cracks and rarely appears. It has only recently appeared. The Immortal Burial Continent is also known as the Immortal Burial Continent. It's said to be an ancient battlefield from the primordial era. Many Devas died there, and many of their treasures were left behind. It's said that there are extreme immoral weapons in Devas corpses. How about it? Senior brother, do you want to go together? Every time the Celestial Burial Continent opens, the geniuses of the Daluo star field will go there to fight for it. Extreme Dao celestial weapons and celestial skeletons can only be found by chance. However, there are many treasures there. If the two of us go, we still have a chance to fight for them. As long as we don't meet Emperor Gu, we shouldn't be in any danger with our strength. Yes, of course. After hearing Luokang's words, Chu Fengmian had a rough idea of what kind of place the Celestial Burial Continent was. Celestial weapons and celestial bones. Although there were such rumors, they might not appear in the world for tens of thousands of years. However, Chu Fengmian was planning to improve his strength. It would be best if he could break through to the quasi-emperor realm. He needed a lot of treasures. Chu Fengmian was planning to go to an extraterritorial land to train. The Celestial Burial Continent was just what he wanted. Moreover, many geniuses would gather in the Celestial Burial Continent to fight with the geniuses of the ancient Great Domain. It was a good opportunity to hone Chu Fengmian's martial skills. There was no reason for Chu Fengmian to reject Luokang's request. Alright, let's go. The Celestial Burial Continent will only be open for a month before returning to the spatial crack. It's already the third day. We have to hurry. Luokan said with a smile when he saw Chu Fengmian agree. Many martial artists and demon gods would choose to go with Chu Fengmian. They would have more chances to fight for the treasures if they went with him. Let's go. Chu Fengmian said. He returned to the Holy Dragon sect just to set up his cave abode before leaving to train. By the way, is senior sister Qingmeng not here? Chu Fengmian suddenly asked. There seemed to be only their auras in the Holy Dragon sect. Qingmeng, who had always been in the Holy Dragon sect, was not here. Senior sister Qingmeng has already gone to the Celestial Burial Continent. This time, the opening of the Celestial Burial Continent is different from the past. Many ancient cave abodes have been opened. Luokan said with a smile. Let's go first. I'll talk to you in detail on the way. Let's go. Chu Fengmian said. He turned into a beam of light and left the Holy Dragon sect. Let's go to the Skyhorn City first. It's the closest city to the Celestial Burial Continent. There's a teleportation array in the Holy Dragon secret realm that leads directly to the Skyhorn City. Luokan said to Chu Fengmian as they flew. The Holy Dragon secret realm was one of the behemoths in the Daluo star field. Every city in the Daluo star field had a teleportation array to the Holy Dragon secret realm. As long as they used the teleportation array, they could quickly go to various regions in the Daluo star field. It's so convenient to be in such a behemoth. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but sigh. If there wasn't a direct teleportation array, they would have to move again and again. It would take more than 10 days to reach the Celestial Burial Continent. Now that there was a direct teleportation array, a few minutes would be enough. Chu Fengmian and Luokan arrived at one of the palaces of the Holy Dragon sect. Inside, there were tens of thousands of teleportation formations, enough for them to go to various cities. Chapter 1332. With the opening of the Immortal Burial Continent, many disciples of the sacred dragon's secret realm were prepared to try their luck. The immortal burial continent contained treasures left behind by countless heavenly beings. Even some personal belongings were things that many sovereigns yearned for even in their dreams. It was already the third day since the opening of the immortal burial continent. There were still many disciples of the sacred dragon's secret realm who were preparing to head to Skyhorn City to try their luck at the immortal burial continent. The transportation formation operated very quickly. Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang waited for a few minutes before it was their turn. Chu Fengmian stepped into the teleportation formation and observed it. This teleportation formation was incomparably ancient. It was most likely left behind from ancient times. 100 contribution points each. An old man beside the transportation formation said to Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang. The transportation formation of the sacred dragon's secret realm required 100 contribution points to activate. Luo Kang had told Chu Fengmian this before. Chu Fengmian tapped his finger and took out 100 contribution points. Luo Kang did the same and took out his contribution points. The old man nodded and allowed Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang to step into the transportation formation. The transportation formation operated slowly. The scene before Chu Fengmian's eyes spun. In an instant, Chu Fengmian had passed through countless star domains. By the time Chu Fengmian's surroundings began to stabilize, a huge city had already appeared in front of him. This city stood alone in the sea of stars, leaning on a huge rock. Chu Fengmian glanced over and saw that there were tens of millions of martial artists and demon immortals gathered in this city. Quasi-emperors, immortal realm, and even life and death realm martial artists and demon immortals could be seen. From divine force realm saints to Emperor Gu, they could be found in this Skyhorn city. So many people. Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang landed and entered the Skyhorn city. Looking at the sea of people, they couldn't help but sigh. Tens of millions of martial artists and demon immortals had gathered in Skyhorn City. It was a sea of people. On the streets, many martial artists and demon immortals were sitting on the ground. Some were recuperating from their injuries, while others were taking out various rare items and treasures to trade on the spot. The sound of people filled the air and it was extremely lively. However, regardless of whether it was Divine Force Realm Saints or Emperor Gu, they had to restrain their auras in the Skyhorn City. No fighting was allowed in the Skyhorn City. That was the only rule. It was said that the Skyhorn City's Emperor Gu was an extremely ancient Nine Tribulations Emperor Gu. He was a legendary figure who was close to Heaven Realm's realm. With such a big shot holding the fort, even an ancient emperor would have to restrain himself. This is not considered a lot. When the immortal burial continent opens to the middle stage, there will be a lot of people. Right now, most of the martial artists and demonic gods have not gained anything from the immortal burial continent. Compared to Chu Fengmian, Luo Kang was much more indifferent. This was his second time coming to the Skyhorn City. 20 years ago, Luo Kang came to the immortal burial continent the last time it opened. However, Luo Kang wasn't strong enough at that time, so he only obtained some benefits. This time, Luo Kang and Chu Fengmian's combined strength was below Emperor Gu's. They were qualified to fight for some treasures after entering the immortal burial continent. Skyhorn City is the closest city to the immortal burial continent. It's also the trading ground for countless martial artists and demon immortals. Luo Kang pointed at the martial artists who were setting up stalls by the roadside and said, "They should be the martial artists who went to the immortal burial continent and obtained some opportunities." Therefore, they quickly came to the Skyhorn City to sell the things in their hands. A man's wealth was his own ruin. Many martial artists who obtained opportunities in the immortal burial continent weren't strong. For example, the martial artist who was setting up a stall in front of Chu Fengmian was only at 4th level life and death realm. In a place where immortal realm experts and boundary emperors were everywhere, this kind of strength was like an ant. In front of him was a purple leaf. On the leaf, one could see specks of golden light. Purple meridian? Chu Fengmian was shocked when he saw the purple leaf. Purple Meridian was a kind of sacred medicine that could strengthen one's body by directly swallowing and refining it. However, Purple Meridian had already gone extinct hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now, Chu Fengmian had actually seen a fully mature Purple Meridian. The price of such a Purple Meridian would be more than 10,000 contribution points in the Sacred Dragon's secret realm. It was considered a rare treasure. And now, this Purple Meridian had been obtained by a 4th-level life and death realm brat. Many martial artists and demon immortals who passed by looked at the Purple Meridian with greed in their eyes. They couldn't wait to snatch it. If they were outside, they wouldn't hesitate to kill the brat in front of them and snatch the Purple Meridian. However, this was Skyhorn City after all. If they made a move, they would violate the rules of Skyhorn City and offend the Skyhorn City Lord. Then, they would be consigned to eternal damnation. Therefore, no one dared to make a move. However, if this 4th-level life and death realm martial artist left Skyhorn City now, he would definitely be hunted down by countless experts. It's better to get rid of this hot potato as soon as possible. Chu Fengmian also understood why so many martial artists and demon immortals chose to set up stalls in Skyhorn City. Without sufficient strength, obtaining a treasure like the Purple Meridian was no longer a fortuitous encounter, but a calamity. If this 4th-level life and death realm martial artist wanted to leave Skyhorn City, he would at least have to sell this Purple Meridian. However, there were already many martial artists and demon immortals in front of the 4th-level life and death realm martial artist stall. After asking around, everyone left. It seemed like they couldn't accept the price of the Purple Meridian. Purple Meridian is a good thing. It's probably the most suitable spirit medicine for body cultivators. Luokan took a glance inside. It's a pity that I don't cultivate my physical body. This Purple Meridian is useless to me. Senior brother, are you interested? Let's go take a look. Chu Fengmian thought for a moment, then walked over. Purple Meridian wasn't just enough to strengthen the body. In Chu Fengmian's memories, he knew that many ancient pill recipes required Purple Meridian. However, as the Purple Meridian disappeared, these pill recipes also gradually disappeared. The Master of Sword Dao liked to collect ancient books. Chu Fengmian had flipped through them when he was bored. Now, he remembered. Chapter 1333. Ancient spirit pills were much more effective than the pills of the current era. In this era, even divine elixir pills were only effective on venerable sovereigns. The effects on ancient emperors were negligible. As for ancient spirit pills, many were even effective for heavenly beings. It wasn't that the alchemy Dao had declined in the current era, but that many of the saint herbs of the ancient era were gone. In the ancient era, many of the saint herbs of the present era were only heaven herbs or even earth herbs. They were far from being called saint herbs. The purple veins in front of him was a true saint herb. Chu Fengmian knew that a purple veins profound pill refined with purple veins as the main ingredient was enough to strengthen Emperor Gu's physical body by several folds. If Chu Fengmian wanted to cultivate an immortal true body, he would have to strengthen his physical body to the extreme. If he could refine a purple veins profound pill, it would be enough to take Chu Fengmian a step closer to the immortal true body. Chu Fengmian said as he walked towards the 4th-level life and death realm martial artist. This martial artist had a dark and skinny appearance. 4th-level life and death realm martial artist could be considered a powerhouse in some low-level continents. However, in Skyhorn City, his strength could only be considered below average. Countless half-emperors and even sovereigns were sizing him up, making him tremble with fear. Purple veins, what's the price? Chu Fengmian walked to the front of the stall and carefully sized up the purple veins. This purple veins profound pill was already fully mature. The specks of golden light on its surface were a sign that it was fully mature. Although purple veins profound pill wasn't fully mature, it was still very effective. Therefore, when people came across a purple veins profound pill, they would immediately pluck it, regardless of whether it was fully mature or not. After all, an immature purple veins profound pill was worth a lot. Few martial artists would be able to resist the temptation. However, if Chu Fengmian wanted to refine a purple veins profound pill, he needed a fully mature purple veins profound pill. Without a fully mature purple veins profound pill, he couldn't refine one. The purple veins profound pill in front of him was fully mature, which met Chu Fengmian's requirements. Senior, I only need 10 healing sacred elixirs and 10 cultivation sacred elixirs to exchange for this purple vein. The skinny man looked at Chu Fengmian and whispered. 10 healing sacred pills, 10 cultivation sacred pills, a total of 20 sacred pills. Little guy, you sure talk big. Luo Kang couldn't help but frown when he heard the price. The price of cultivation divine elixirs was not high. 10 cultivation divine elixirs were generally worth 2,000 contribution points in the sacred dragon mystery dimension. However, healing pills were different. Healing pills were extremely cheap at the lower levels, but the higher the level, the higher the price. Even healing pills with a lower level would double the price. As for healing sacred pills, even in the sacred dragon secret realm, one would require 1,000 contribution points to purchase. Those that could reach the level of healing elixir pills could even heal the injuries of the ancient emperor. As for ordinary sovereigns, as long as they didn't die, a single pill was enough to make them lively again. It was equivalent to an extra life for sovereigns. The skinny man had offered such a high price. It was no wonder that no one wanted to buy this purple veins profound pill. This is the lowest price. I almost died in the mouth of a monster for this purple veins profound pill. The skinny man said hesitantly. Senior brother, forget it. Let's go take a look. Purple veins profound pill will appear every time the immortal burial continent opens. This one won't make a difference. Luo Kang pursed his lips and looked at Chu Fengmian. In his opinion, the price was too high. It was 20% higher than the market price. 10 healing panaceas and 10 cultivation panaceas, right? Chu Fengmian glanced at the purple veins profound pill and asked. Purple veins were easy to find, but there were not many fully mature ones. Most of the purple veins profound pill had been plucked before they were fully mature. Chu Fengmian didn't lack wealth. Since he had come across one, he could just buy it. I can buy this purple veins profound pill, but I need you to tell me where you found it. Chu Fengmian looked at the skinny man and said. Purple veins profound pill was a concomitant saint pill. Generally speaking, where there were purple veins profound pill, another saint pill, profound yellow grass, would grow there. The purple veins profound pill was refined with profound yellow grass and profound yellow veins profound pill. These two saint pills grew together, and their medicinal effects were very similar. Once they were refined, they could complement each other to refine a purple veins profound pill. However, profound yellow grass was much less conspicuous than purple veins profound pill. The skinny man probably didn't even notice profound yellow grass. If Chu Fengmian wanted to refine the purple veins profound pill, he had to find a mature profound yellow grass. If Senior wants to buy it, I'll definitely tell you. Hearing Chu Fengmian's request, the skinny man felt a little strange, but he still said it. All right. Chu Fengmian didn't waste his breath. He moved his palm and 2 jade bottles flew out. Chu Fengmian had killed young noble Shua, Mu Xian, and the others. He had obtained many saint pills from them. Most of them were useless to Chu Fengmian, so he didn't feel bad about taking them out. Chu Fengmian took out the 2 jade bottles and handed them to the skinny man. The skinny man carefully checked a few times before handing over the purple veins profound pill. At the same time, he secretly gave Chu Fengmian a jade talisman. Inside the jade talisman was a record of where the skinny man had obtained this purple vein tree. It seemed to be in a mountain valley. With this talisman, it wasn't difficult for Chu Fengmian to find this valley in the immortal burial continent. Let's go. Chu Fengmian was in a good mood after obtaining the purple veins profound pill. At the same time, he continued to look at the stalls. There were many saint medicines that had disappeared for a long time. Chu Fengmian wasn't stingy and bought all of the valuable ones. Behind Chu Fengmian was an old man. He sized up Chu Fengmian a few times, then chased after him. "Sir, please wait." The old man wore a Taoist robe and looked like a four-tribulation true emperor. He stepped forward and blocked Chu Fengmian's path. "What's the matter?" Chu Fengmian looked at the old man and casually asked. A four-tribulation true emperor wasn't even an ant in Chu Fengmian's eyes. He naturally didn't care. The same went for Luo Khan. The old man's eyes flashed with anger after hearing Chu Fengmian's impolite words. After all, he was a four-tribulation true emperor while Chu Fengmian was only an eternal. Chapter 1334. The elder was a little angry at Chu Fengmian's attitude, but he maintained a smile on his face. "Sir, did you just buy a purple meridian? I am an elder of the Eclipse Hall and the Avalon of 5 Elements. This purple meridian originally belonged to our Eclipse Hall, but it was stolen by a thief. If you can return this purple meridian to our Eclipse Hall, we will definitely reward you handsomely." The elder took a step forward and spoke to Chu Fengmian. "Not interested." Chu Fengmian didn't care about the Avalon of 5 Elements or Eclipse Hall. As for the elder's words, they were laughable in Chu Fengmian's eyes. Chu Fengmian could tell that the elder wanted to buy the purple meridian from Chu Fengmian. Not only did he want to buy it, he didn't even intend to pay the price. "Let's go." Chu Fengmian glanced at the elder and spoke to Luo Khan, who was beside him, as he prepared to leave. However, the elder took a step forward and blocked Chu Fengmian's path. "Sir, this old man is kindly discussing this with you. You don't have to ignore me like this. Our Solar Fire Hall is willing to buy this purple vein. If you sell it to our Solar Fire Hall, it will be sufficient to form a good relationship with our Solar Fire Hall." The elder looked at Chu Fengmian with flickering eyes. He was determined to get this purple meridian. Since Chu Fengmian wasn't willing to sell it to him, he was going to pester him to the end. How annoying. Eclipse Hall? What does the Avalon of 5 Elements have to do with us? Even Luo Khan, who was standing at the side, looked a little impatient. He wasn't a good-tempered person, and his face revealed some anger when he saw the elder pestering him again and again. "Humph, you should be careful with your words. The prestige of our Eclipse Hall cannot be insulted." The elder snorted coldly when he heard Luo Kang's words. "If you hand over the purple meridian today, you can form good karma with our Eclipse Hall. Otherwise, scram." Chu Fengmian didn't wait for the elder to finish speaking and shouted coldly. Originally, he was too lazy to bother with the old man in front of him and just wanted to send him away. He didn't expect the old man to be so difficult to deal with like a piece of dogskin plaster. When these words were spoken, the elder's expression turned extremely gloomy. The fury in his heart was about to explode. He wished that he could snatch the purple vein from Chu Fengmian's hands right now. However, this place was the Heaven Corner City. Even if he had a great background, he would not dare to make a move in the Heaven Corner City to snatch the items of others. "Humph," the old man snorted coldly. He glared at Chu Fengmian and Luo Khan, then turned around and left. From the looks of it, the old man was clearly not going to let the matter rest. Solar Flame Hall. It's said that the young master of the Solar Flame Hall, young Master Rian, is also in Skyhorn City. This young Master Rian cultivates a body cultivation technique. Purple meridians should be what he needs. Luo Khan said to Chu Fengmian as he watched the old man leave. This young Master Rian can be considered a genius. He's ranked over 400 on the Great Haven Law Genius ranking. Luo Khan had been in the Great Haven Law Star Field for dozens of years, so he had some understanding of the forces and geniuses of the various sections. He had already guessed the reason why the old man came over to ask for the purple vein. "Young Master Rian? It's nothing. If he dares to provoke me, I'll kill him and destroy the Solar Flame Hall." Chu Fengmian calmly spoke without even blinking his eyes. Chu Fengmian didn't care about the Solar Flame Hall right now. But if they really provoked Chu Fengmian, they would be courting death. That's right. A mere solar flame hall is nothing compared to our holy dragon sect. It's fine if we kill them. In any case, the disciples of the four major forces often kill each other outside. Luo Kang nodded his head when he heard Chu Fengmian's words. Suddenly, he looked at a huge wooden building to the side. The words Stone Peak Trading Company were written on the wooden building. The auction of the Stone Peak Trading Company is actually being held today. Senior brother, are you interested in taking a look? Luo Kang turned his head and asked Chu Fengmian. The Stone Peak Trading Company is the largest trading company in Skyhorn City. It's said that it was established by a former city lord of Skyhorn City. It has an unparalleled status in Skyhorn City. Those who can enter the auction are at least of the sacred elixir grade. Treasures like the purple vein are also quite common. We're going to the immortal burial continent. It's very dangerous. If we can buy a few treasures from the auction, it'll be much safer. The immortal burial continent was a place where even Emperor Gu would face the risk of dying if he recklessly entered. The two of them didn't enter the immortal burial continent immediately after arriving at Skyhorn City. Instead, they strolled around Skyhorn City, intending to get a few treasures to protect themselves. Auction? Alright, we can go and take a look. Chu Fengmian's eyes lit up. He liked this kind of auction the most. After all, he was rich and could buy many good things. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had read countless ancient books and had a deep understanding of many heavenly treasures and treasures. Some heavenly treasures that ordinary people didn't know about would be extremely useful in Chu Fengmian's hands. This time, Chu Fengmian had already obtained 4 or 5 sacred elixirs that had gone extinct hundreds of thousands of years ago. If he bought some more, he could use the ancient sacred elixir recipe recorded in his mind to refine the ancient sacred elixir. Ancient spiritual pills were immortal medicines that were effective for ancient emperors and even immortals. Refining one would be of great use to Chu Fengmian. Let's go. We'll go in now. Luo Kang led Chu Fengmian into the Stone Peak Trading Company. The wooden building outside the Stone Peak Trading Company was just a disguise. When they stepped in, they arrived at an independent space. There were many young girls standing at the entrance. They were all in the life and death realm. When they saw Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang walk in, they quickly came to greet them. Seniors, what do you need? Our Stone Peak Trading Company has recently received a batch of sacred elixirs for healing. Are you interested? The young girl looked at Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang and asked. Recently, the immortal burial continent had opened, and sacred elixirs for healing had become a hot commodity. The price of a single sacred elixir had increased by several folds. After all, they were going to the immortal burial continent. They had to prepare enough sacred elixirs for the trip. The immortal burial continent was full of danger. Otherwise, there was a high chance of dying inside. We're here to participate in the auction. Chapter 1335. Seniors, may I know who you are? The girl looked at Luo Kang and Chu Fengmian and asked after hesitating for a moment. The auction held by Shifeng Trading Company was the largest auction in Skyhorn City. Ordinary martial artists and demon gods were not qualified to participate in it. Normally, only those who were at least 6 Tribulation True Emperors were qualified to participate in it. Of course, those who were not strong enough were also qualified to participate. Luo Kang was not surprised. He took out a jade talisman and shook it. The 2 words Sacred Dragon were emitting a dazzling purple light. So the 2 of you are disciples of the Sacred Dragon's secret realm. The girl's expression changed when she saw the jade talisman. She quickly said. The 2 of you, please follow me. The girl's sudden change was not only because of her identity as a disciple of the Sacred Dragon's secret realm, but also because of the purple light emitted from her face. This purple light meant that Luo Kang was a core disciple of the Sacred Dragon's secret realm. Core disciples were second only to the chosen in the Sacred Dragon's secret realm. Their status was higher than many elders. Naturally, they were qualified to participate in the auction in Skyhorn City. The girl walked at the front and led Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang into a private room inside the trading company. The private room was luxuriously decorated and could accommodate dozens of people. It was obviously prepared for guests of high status. There was a water mirror in the private room. The scene outside was shown through the water mirror. Outside, there was a venue that could accommodate tens of thousands of people. At the center of the venue was a grandstand, surrounded by densely packed seats. At the very end of these seats was a private room, where Chu Fengmian and the others were now. "Why don't you stay and explain to us what's up for auction?" Luo Kang glanced at the girl and said. "Yes." The girl did not refuse and replied respectfully. Then, she entered the private room together with Luo Kang. When the three of them stepped into the private room, all the restrictions in the room were activated. These restrictions were enough to prevent Emperor Gu from seeing the inside of the private room. There were no secrets. After the three of them took their seats, they could see from the water mirror that there were already a few girls walking out of the auction venue. These girls held jade bottles in their hands as they came to the grandstand. The auction had officially begun. Each of these jade bottles contained 10 green-colored elixirs. There was a total of 10 jade bottles. These green elixirs were densely packed with elixir markings. Each elixir had 100 markings. They were 100 markings sacred elixirs. The grade of sacred elixirs were determined by their markings. For example, the sacred elixir pill that Chu Fengmian used to buy the purple veins only had a few markings. In terms of value, it was incomparable to the green sacred elixirs in the jade bottle. What's inside should be the flesh rejuvenation pill. Luo Kang glanced at the elixirs stored in the water mirror and said. The refining technique is pretty good. Normally, the flesh returning pill should only have 50 to 60 pill veins. This level of pill can be considered a small peak grade flesh returning pill. Senior is right. The Stone Peak Chamber of Commerce specially invited a master from the Medicine King family to refine this batch of flesh rejuvenation elixirs. One pill is enough to bring anyone below Emperor Gu back to life. The girl explained from the side. It doesn't matter if my body is destroyed. Senior brother, are you interested? Luo Kang glanced at it and shook his head. He did not cultivate his body. His body was extremely fragile. If it was destroyed during a battle, he could just rebuild it. There was no need to waste elixirs to recover. The price of a flesh rejuvenation elixir of this grade was not cheap. It's useless to me. Chu Fengmian shook his head. Unlike Luo Kang, Chu Fengmian's body was too strong. Even Emperor Gu's body was not as tough as Chu Fengmian's. The effect of the flesh rejuvenation elixir was almost useless on Chu Fengmian. Only a sacred elixir with 500 markings or even 1,000 markings would be useful to Chu Fengmian. 500 Great Luo elixirs. 700 Great Luo elixirs. 1,000 Great Luo elixirs. While Chu Fengmian and Luo Kang were talking, the auction outside the water mirror had already begun. There were 100 flesh rejuvenation elixirs in the 10 jade bottles. They were being auctioned in groups of 10. The first group was being auctioned. Great Luo elixirs? What kind of elixirs are these? Chu Fengmian asked Luo Kang when he heard the shouts outside. These Great Luo elixirs are elixirs used as hard currency in the Daluotian star field. Its effect is similar to the Sacred Dragon Grand Elixir in the Sacred Dragon Secret Realm, but its grade is not as good. One Sacred Dragon Grand Elixir is equivalent to 10 Great Luo elixirs outside. Luo Kang explained. Of course, it's not necessary to take out Great Luo elixirs to buy things in the Stone Peak Chamber of Commerce. As long as it's a treasure of sufficient value, the Stone Peak Chamber of Commerce will have a specialized appraiser to estimate the price. It's a fair trade. That's right. The Stone Peak Chamber of Commerce will definitely not let the two seniors suffer a loss. The young lady at the side also spoke. For example, many Emperor Gu wouldn't carry many low-grade elixirs like the Great Luo elixirs with them. Most of the time, they would use items to exchange for money. Is that so? I wonder if the Stone Peak Chamber of Commerce accepts spirit stones. Chu Fengmian thought for a moment, then suddenly asked the young lady at the side. Spirit stones? Hearing Chu Fengmian's words, the young lady was first stunned. Generally, only cultivators below the quasi-emperor realm would use spirit stones to trade. In Skyhorn City, Great Lu elixirs were hard currency. As for spirit stones, they were circulated among some low-level cultivators. However, the young lady didn't show much surprise and directly answered. Yes, but it must be a high-grade spirit stone. It must be at least a royal-grade spirit stone. Then how many Great Lu elixirs can this spirit stone be exchanged for? A fist-sized spirit stone suddenly appeared in Chu Fengmian's palm. This spirit stone was milky white, and the moment it was taken out, it emitted an extremely pure spiritual energy. This is a saint-grade spirit stone? A saint-grade spirit stone? No, it's purer than a saint-grade spirit stone. This spirit stone is enough to set up a supreme array. The young lady was shocked when she saw this spirit stone. She had seen saint-grade spirit stones before, but it was still inferior to the one in Chu Fengmian's hand. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.